NASCAR is built on speed, aggression, and a little bit of chaos. And few navigate it better than Ricky Stenhouse Jr. A Daytona 500 champ with deep dirt track roots, he's built a reputation as one of the most fearless drivers in the sport.
In NASCAR, you're going to lose more, theoretically, than you're going to win. We race 38 weeks out of the year. We're on the grind.
And that dirt background runs deep. Ricky grew up around two wheels just as much as four, and when he's not behind the wheel, you'll find him locked in on Supercross. From arena cross to dirt tracks to Daytona, he's lived it all, chasing speed, pushing limits, and proving himself on the biggest stages in motorsports. Gypsy gang, welcome Ricky Stenhouse to the podcast. How many of your New Year's resolutions have you been able to keep so far? Well, I'm happy to report that I've been able to keep on track with my daily nutrition habits, as I'm still starting off each and every morning with AG1, the same way I have for years. One scoop a day, or one of the convenient travel packs when I'm away at the races, make it really easy to stay on track with my health goals. For me, the benefits of taking AG1 every day are super clear. Firstly, it just sets the day off on the right foot. 5 minutes after I wake up, I've already checked a box. Secondly, after years of taking AG1, I know how good it is for my digestion and overall gut health. My skin is clearer and my hair and nails are healthier. I love that AG1 is NSF certified for sport, meaning it's been independently tested for quality. When it comes to my health, I want something I can trust, and that is why I choose AG1. AG1 makes it easy to support overall wellness every day, and that's why I've been partnering with AG1 for so long. And AG1 is offering new subscribers a free $76 gift when you sign up. You'll get a welcome kit, a bottle of D3K2, and 5 free travel packs in your first box. So make sure you check out drinkag1.com/gypsytales to start your new year on a healthier note.
I met a gypsy.
Or like Japanese, I don't know what it is, right up here on the corner. So if you go out to this light, make a left.
Yeah.
And then there's like a little alleyway next to that.
Yeah.
Whatever is over there. Dude, there was like 3 massive Humvees, and
No.
I bet there was 20 cop cars.
Really?
At least.
We should have gone out for a look.
Yeah, I mean, dude, everybody was like, but we couldn't tell when we drove by. It was wild.
Dude, this area got crazy.
Yeah.
Like, I remember years and years ago, this was just like like Newport's just there.
Yeah, I don't know much about California.
Where are you from originally?
Mississippi.
Mississippi, yeah. This is,
yeah.
bro, yeah.
I mean, we come out here.
This is a different deal, dude.
First time I really remember coming out here was like 2007. Raced Paris. Raced the dirt track at Paris.
Yeah.
And then like I've ran Ventura a couple times.
Yeah.
But like never went to the beach or, any nice areas.
Yeah, well, this is kind of going away. It's kind of crazy. Like a couple of years ago,
So do you got to go north or south?
South, I think.
South.
Yeah. Just keep heading south.
Yeah.
Like the Zach Bryan song.
That's right.
But yeah, that's pretty wild.
Yeah.
There's a lot of crazy that goes down in California now.
I see it on the news.
Oh. But even like we're in Nashville. It's not Nashville, Austin.
Yeah.
6th Street gone. Zombie land.
Really?
Couldn't believe it. Took my wife. We got there. We drove from the
People from California moved there.
Dude, it was hectic, man. Like ATMs broken off the wall.
Really?
And like, man, chicks screaming at
That's wild.
Bar bouncers. And
Yeah.
my wife's like, dude, I think we should leave. And I'm like, this is nice. This is supposed to be fun. This is like a cool place. This is Austin. This is 6th Street. Gone.
Is there anything like that in Australia?
In terms of what? Like the homelessness and stuff?
Yeah.
Not as bad as here.
Yeah.
It's so different.
I've never been. I was supposed to go in 2005. I think it was 2005, like the off season of 2005. I was going to go, a lot of the dirt track guys go over there and race in the wintertime. And I was supposed to go over there, and then like the deal kind of fell through, and I've never been.
I think that V8 Supercars should do something with NASCAR.
They look really fun, and talking to SVG, he says they're a blast.
Yeah.
And obviously he's really good at it.
Yeah. I think
But he tells me, we were actually just having this conversation. He tells me that it's like the Cup cars that we race now and the Xfinity Series cars that or around right now. He said the V8 supercar is kind of like in the middle.
Yeah.
He's like, you get a lot of roll and you can feel the car a lot, but then like it has a lot of the braking attributes of your cup car and, kind of stock like that. So like our cup cars are super stiff, like hitting
Suspension
bumps.
wise?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like not a lot of travel.
They're like Supercross bikes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just set up on kill. Like
Yeah.
you feel every little thing.
Yeah.
Unlike, I guess, like motocross is like
This is like the softer
Yeah.
setup. Yeah. And then Xfinity is a bit softer.
way softer. Yeah, they're a completely different. I mean, those cars were designed by the race teams. Yeah, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
Yeah, and totally different spring packages. They mainly use their springs, in the car. Like we actually mainly use the springs that are on our shocks.
Yeah, right.
Kind of like a Supercross rear shock. We have a spring on our shock. We still got springs in the car, but they don't really do near as much as what like the actual spring on the shock is. So, the Xfinity cars are still kind of old school.
Yeah, yeah. And is it a huge difference to drive? I'm assuming it would be.
Yeah. So when I ran, I haven't ran an Xfinity car since like 2014 or something. No, I guess I ran a few years ago. But yeah, they're totally different. I mean, they're both really fun. I would say most of the Cup guys say they have more fun when they race the Xfinity cars.
Yeah, yeah.
Because you can kind of hang them out a little bit sideways a little bit more.
Yeah.
You watch the V8 supercars and they're hung out some, but not much. But then when you look at the Cup cars, like we don't hang them out at all.
Yeah.
It's like, because once you get sideways, it's gone.
Yeah. And why is that? Because there's just no room to bring it back. Like it's on a knife's edge
So
almost.
the Xfinity cars, if you look at like the right rear quarter panel,
Yeah.
it's flat like this table. So like when you get sideways, the air will actually
There's
hit
actually
it,
a bit of
and
force.
it kind of help you. And then you got tire roll. You got bigger sidewalls, so you got a little give in the tire, and then it's a softer setup. And then like on the Cup car, you don't have anything aero wise to really help you, and then the sidewalls are so small and stiff. Like once it goes, it's just gone.
Yeah, that makes total
Yeah.
sense. So bring that over, mate. Thank you very much for that.
Thank you, appreciate it.
You're gonna need that, mate. 3 hours.
Yeah.
Hey, 3 hours locking in. What's the longest pod that you've done?
I would say I think it was like an hour and a half. I'm trying to think of who's
we're
it
going
was.
deep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm settled in though. I'm good.
That's awesome.
Shane will tell you I don't normally talk a whole lot. I'm normally just kind of take it all in guy. But then like when we're talking about stuff that I enjoy talking about, like I'll continue to talk.
Yeah, nice. So,
And in my older age, I've talked more than I used to in my younger age.
how old are you now?
37,
Okay. Yeah, we're the same. Are you 88?
87.
87.
I'll be 38 in October.
Okay, so I'll be 37 in. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very, very similar.
Very similar.
What's your music preference at the moment? What do you like? What do you listen
My
to?
music preference normally doesn't change at all. It's like 90s country.
90s country. Yeah,
Yeah.
see, I'm like 90s rock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I like that too, right?
Yeah.
But like anything in that kind of time frame
Yeah.
is just
We got it good, dude. We got it
Hey.
good. Everyone that came after us, like, do you know anyone after our age that went to a good house party?
no.
Did you go to good house parties?
Oh, yeah.
Actually, yeah.
Yeah. I wasn't major into like I didn't drink really until I was like 23, but like I went.
Yeah,
A lot of the times I was coming home from the racetrack, we would park the truck and trailer, and me and my buddy that worked on the race car with me, then we would go, to somebody's house because they
Yeah.
were still out, partying. We didn't do that often, but we did catch a few tail ends, and
We're the last gen. We're the last gen of the house
Yeah.
party. It went away after us.
I saw a thing the other day that said, when I was 15, I was sneaking out, taking my parents' car, joyriding, and now I got to watch my 15-year-old take the trash out because it's dark. Like,
yeah,
I feel like that sums it up really well.
Yeah. It's funny, like, because Griff's been living with us, and I'm going through.
How
like,
old is Griff?
He's 20.
20.
So he's going through like his first big trip away, and he's just kind of like doing his own thing, and I'm now doing all the shit to him that I hated my dad for.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'm just like, I get it. I kind of get it that I'm kind of like just sick of sharing all this shit with this little asshole.
I know they say you turn into your parents.
Yeah,
right?
that's fully
and you're like never gonna do that.
Yeah, no, and I'm just that guy right now. Like this morning, I had the last.
We're kind of in that weird age though. Like I feel like 37 is still young.
I'm starting to. I feel like it's a bit of a tipping point.
You think?
I feel like it.
I'm still hanging on that we're still climbing just a little bit.
Especially being around Griff, I just feel like a boomer. I make some real boomer jokes.
I will say during like our driver intros, you know, when I was telling you we're up there kind of chit chatting about, you know, different stuff, and I mean there's 20-year-olds and you know, it's like, dang.
Yeah.
I remember.
You're like, you were born in 04, bro. Like that's Ricky Carmichael's
There's no good
perfect
music there.
season. Yeah. I remember watching Ricky Carmichael win every moto.
Yeah, there was like no good music that came out. Like nobody says I'm a 2000s country guy.
Yeah, no one is a 2000s music guy. Like maybe rap. Yeah, see, that's like you're looking at R. Kelly.
Yeah.
You're looking at Diddy. Weird time, dude. Weird time, bro. See, there's nothing good happened after us. Our gen, the 90s.
Yeah.
You know, you put
nothing wrong with Alan Jackson.
Nah. Smashing Pumpkins, Nirvana.
Yeah.
The Cranberries. We got it good.
I did that, and then like I like a 80s classic.
Yeah. Yeah, good.
Which we were born in the 80s, so I think we can kind of claim 80s and 90s, right? Like,
what did your parents listen to?
My dad listened to a lot of like classic rock.
Yeah.
A lot of
70s, 80s.
Fleetwood Mac, the Hollies, like
the Eagles.
Eagles, Kansas, Styx.
Yeah, America.
Who, all that.
God, living.
Yeah.
We timed it good.
Timed it perfect.
But I will say, I'm starting to feel my age. Especially like the training thing too. You know, like I went away from our little training thing in Austin the other day and I was like, I miss my prime. I'm officially
Shane and
out.
I were flying out here and, you know, I flew to Dallas first and then, you know, out with him to here and, you know, the 3-hour flight here, you know, I was like,
the back.
You know, I hit a workout pretty hard yesterday and I was like, I feel it.
Yeah. Yeah, and you're like, what time? I better get up because of DVT.
Yeah.
You just want to get the legs pumping up.
Yeah, I was window seat, so I just sat there the whole time. But yeah, I would say I maybe feel it in some aspects, but I'm still holding on that we're still climbing just a little bit.
We're not too bad.
Yeah.
But it's on my mind more than ever. And you got a 7-year-old, right?
7-month-old.
7-month-old. I thought you said 7-year-old. I was like, dude.
I was wondering when you said, man, it was a pretty good run for him first time getting sick.
Yeah, I thought 7 years old. I was like, that's wild, bro. All my friends' kids get sick constantly.
Yeah, no, I was, no, he's 7 months. He's starting to teeth a little bit, which was, you know, been a big adjustment on my sleep schedule. But
how's that been?
So luckily my mom retired 2 days before he was born.
That's good timing.
She's been a massive, massive help. So like for sure, like on race nights and on the weekends, like she'll travel with us and she'll watch him. And then so I'll, you know, sleep before races. But it's like he's like a 2-hour guy. 2 hours, wake up. And if you don't get him back to sleep quick enough, he'll be up for 2 hours. So it's like a rush to get him back to sleep.
Yeah.
But he's good.
What's the change in perspective having a kid? Did it change much or are you just kind of ready for it?
No, I was ready. I mean, I obviously waited long enough that I feel like I was, you know, ready for it. You know, my wife has to do probably more than I do right now.
Yeah,
but,
I think that's
you know, eventually, like, you know, once he, I feel like, starts walking and we start doing things, you know.
Once he can get a Strider, a
yeah, exactly.
a Stark,
yeah, I mean, I'm telling my wife, Madison, all these things that we're going to do, like, and she's like looking at me like I'm crazy, but I'm like, I was racing BMX at, you know, 4 years old. He needs to be riding a bike at, you know, 2-ish.
At least.
You know,
at
like
the latest.
You know, so like, and my mom taught me how to ride my bike back in the day, so she was like, I'm ready to teach him.
That's so cool.
Yeah, things like that. And I would say, like, as far as like going out to do stuff, like you don't, like I like to play a lot of golf, but I definitely don't prioritize it anymore.
Yeah.
I'll just go play if I have time. or if I'm traveling, I'll play while he's not around. And then just spend time with him at home. It's been fun.
That's cool. I feel like, I mean, at least for me, when I got married, there was like a bit of a perspective shift on like priorities, importance.
Oh, yeah.
The weight of like caring for another person. Like, been pretty selfish my whole life, and it's like, okay, now I need to like care for this other person. I'm responsible, and a lot of the decisions, like, it just affects the way that you move. And I feel like a kid's probably a whole nother level of that.
Another level for sure.
Yeah.
Just trying to, things that, again, I don't think about, but, we are going to, dinner, or we're going, to see some friends, or like I was out at the go-kart track the other day, and my wife, brought our son out, and, she's like, well, I got to pack for him to leave, right? And it's like bottles here, making sure you have enough,
nappies,
all this stuff. And I'm like, man, there's a lot that she takes care of that I do not have to worry about.
Yeah.
So on that aspect of things, she helps out and kind of lets me focus on, what I need to focus on, going to the shop and meetings with the team and, all that good stuff. But I try to make sure now that I, when I am not at the race shop, or, head down and, studying, races and things like that, that I'm a little bit more present with them.
Yeah. Probably gives you like a good detachment away as well, because I mean, at least for me, I could just work 24 hours a day. Just like, if you just let me cook, I'll cook.
Yeah. I think for me, I had a few races last year. He was born on July 4th last year. So we've had races, to end the season, and then now we've, started a new one. But I noticed that, if I had a bad race, especially if he was at the track, it was like by the time I got back to the bus and I walked in, and, I see him sitting there, and, he's just smiling, just pumped that I'm back. I think that helps a lot, kind of detach from that a little bit. Like, you still got to learn from those tough days, or, whatever it is that you're struggling with, but it was nice to kind of detach from that for a minute.
Yeah, and there's like, I mean, I say it all the time, but there's like a point of diminishing returns. Like, you can overdo everything, whether it's car racing, whether it's your golf swing, like you can go too hard into anything. And, I feel like at times you feel like guilt. Like, I should be really upset about this for a really long time. I should let it piss me off until next weekend. But it's like, is that really going to be the thing that helps
wife.
you out?
That's my wife.
Yeah, really?
Yeah, like we, just Daytona earlier this year. We had a shot to win. We were up front, 15 laps to go, and a couple of us kind of made, I would just say, just a couple wrong moves, and caused a crash, and I was part of that, and we ended up finishing 18th, and got back to the bus, and I saw Stetson, and he's pretty pumped, and my wife was not thrilled. So for me, I feel like I've always been really good at getting over things pretty quick.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think you do have to be kind of salty about things for a little bit to like make sure you learn from it too, right? You can't just forget about everything every time something happens. Like, you still got to figure it out and learn from it. And so I feel like she helps me kind of like, get mad at things when I need to get mad. And then, I feel like I've got a really good balance.
Yeah, that's awesome, because not a lot of people get that right. And a lot of people can rob themselves of joy throughout their careers.
Yeah, if we were both the same, it would be really bad, right? And you live up here, you live down here, and for me, in racing, right? Like, you're in NASCAR, you're going to lose more theoretically than you're going to win. Like, everybody in our sport, nobody has won more than 50% of our races, so you're gonna lose more than you win, and you got to take the ups and downs. And our sport can be brutal. I mean, 2023, we had a great season. We averaged like a 14th place finish, throughout the whole season. And then, 2024, we averaged a 24th place finish. Mm-hmm. It's like seasons just change. And, it's like, I didn't feel like we did anything different, but we didn't get the good results that we had the year before. So then, we're kind of scratching our head and kind of restarting for 2025.
It kind of feels like I'm definitely not going to claim to be a NASCAR expert through this podcast too.
Oh, no, you're fine.
You know, but it feels like the kind of sport where it's as cliche as it sounds. If you're not first, you're last. Really?
Yeah, I mean, yes and no. I think our sport, it's more of like if you run in the top 10, it's like that was a solid day.
And that's respected throughout.
That's everybody in the
everyone?
garage thinks that, I feel like. If you can average a 10th place finish, you would have a really good shot at winning the championship. So, put that into perspective, right? Like Supercross, I feel like you got to average like a 3.1 or it's got to be fairly low.
Yeah.
In our sport, I mean, it's, because there's 40 of us or 36 of us every weekend, sometimes more, everybody's solid. Everybody's got good equipment, and
and they're all great drivers because the competition to get there is so fierce, right?
It takes a lot to get there.
Yeah,
and I mean, like I said, you're gonna lose more than you're gonna win. And like I had a buddy that won 10 races one year, and he went on to win the championship, but he had a great season, and I think he averaged better than a 10 that year. But like, I would say, I don't know the exact stats, but it's close to a 10 will get you a championship. Yeah. So top 10s are solid.
Well, and I guess that's pretty cool then to know, because I feel like it's one of the downsides of Supercross in a way, like to compare those two sports, is that if you're not on the podium, you're like literally nothing. Like it doesn't even count essentially.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say, because we don't do podiums, right? Like it's only the winner in victory lane.
And I think that's kind of what I was getting at in a way, is like, that's the dude.
Yeah.
Like, you just win, you're the guy, everyone else go back to the garage.
Exactly.
We're just looking at this dude.
Yeah. And you're that guy for the week. And then, hey, you got to put your helmet on and get back in the car for the next week. And you might not be that guy. Right. So, it's all about averages. If I could win 10 races a year and not win the championship, I'd probably be okay with that, but you still want championships, right?
Yeah.
There's been guys in our sport back in the day that won one race and won the championship out of 38 races because their average was where it needed to be. Now our playoffs are just totally different than it used to be back then. Now we reset after 10 races, and then, or for 10 races to go, we reset, and then every 3 races it resets again and kicks people out, and then our final race is just winner take all. So like, could you imagine like a Supercross race? Like
Jason Anderson would win every single year.
Every title.
He would just show up on
him
that
and
one
Barsha.
day, yeah, and just be like, I'm getting another chip.
Yeah. Because in Supercross, like I feel like, you all start right next to each other, and it's just game on.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so our sport has changed a little bit over times, and, I think the fans enjoy it.
How do you guys feel about the changes?
There's things that we enjoy about it, and there's things that, I definitely think that we would change. I don't think there's any – just like when you make a rule, right, at some point something's going to happen where it's like, man, that rule wasn't very good. Like something's always going to happen.
Yeah.
And so,
and it's very rare to get it right the first go.
Yeah. So like they made the playoffs, and it was like a 10 race stretch. It reset and was a 10. The best guy out of the 12 that made the playoffs, start at 0. There you go. I thought that was pretty good. But now it's like kind of like the NBA Finals or Stanley Cup, where after 3 rounds, 4 guys are out. You start with 16 and then, work it down to 4. And so, they've talked about changing things up a little bit, but I don't really know what you're going to do. Like, we all know the system, and you just got to play by those rules and try and beat the system.
And so, how many guys start the race? So, does the actual race get smaller each?
No, see, that's the odd thing about our sport is, so Stanley Cup, it's only those 2 teams, right? For us, everybody else is still out there,
but they're just not getting the points.
We're still racing for our own points. Like if if you make the playoffs and say you blew an engine in the first race, and then the next 2 races you ran okay, but you didn't have enough points to advance to the next round, you're knocked out of the playoffs. But you could still $100,000.
Yeah, right.
You know, for the team. And so, you know, there's different areas of, you know, levels of where you finish in points. And so if you could go from finishing 16th in points to 8th, then, you know, that's a big chunk of money. And so you still have things to race for, but yeah, people are racing for a championship and you're on the racetrack with them. And like that race is the only thing that determines our champion. So it's kind of wild.
Yeah, it is wild. Has it increased like viewership, and do you think it's done what it's set out to do?
I don't know if the playoffs have, but like our sport in general, I feel like our fans are. I don't know if our fans are coming back or we're getting new ones or both, right?
Yeah. But you can feel a surge.
Oh yeah, you know, week in and week out at the racetrack.
That's awesome.
Just the intensity level and the fans hanging out are great. Our ticket sales are good. Viewership's been great. And yeah, I would say over the last kind of 3-4 years, you know, the viewership has actually been going up, where I feel like a lot of sports have been kind of stagnant or going down. And so trying to get your viewership up in this market is kind of difficult. And I think they're doing a good job with it.
Yeah. That's really cool to hear, man. Like, I know it definitely had like a rougher patch.
Yeah, I mean, like when I came into the sport, my first Daytona 500 was 2012. And I think that year we had like 13.5 million viewers or something. You know, but I don't know the lowest number that our Daytona 500 dropped to. But I know it's been going up the last 2, 3, 4 years. And, you know, I think we're close to 8 million this year.
Yeah.
7.5 or something like that. We've got unlucky. So like for ours, and I don't know all the TV viewership stuff, but you know, the rain plays a big factor in ours. You know, like the last 2 Daytona 500s, 2 years ago, we had to run it on Monday. So that killed it, you know, viewership. And then this year we ran 15 laps and then it rained and then we sat there for 2 hours and then started back up. So,
but it never rains in Florida. I don't get it.
Dude, it rains anywhere NASCAR goes, I can tell you. Obviously, Florida's Florida, but
you guys just had
the year we won the 500 in 23, we flew out here, and I think it snowed, and we couldn't get on track because of snow.
That's so gnarly.
At Fontana.
Which never happens.
Again, yeah, NASCAR can bring some rain. If there's droughts, schedule a NASCAR race.
That's so good.
Never fails. I don't know why, but never fails.
Dude, that was like Supercross last year. I just felt like we were never going to get a dry race.
Yeah, that was wild.
That's San
was it Sandy? San Francisco?
Well, San Diego as well, but San Fran was like crazy. You almost could have rode a jet ski down the start straight.
Dang.
And they still raced.
I remember watching
Daytona. Oh wait, that was loose. You remember that one?
Is that when whose bike just blew up and he just sat there and just got off of it?
Was it who?
Chad's, right?
Oh yeah, Wyndham won the race, and it was Chad. Yeah.
Mississippi guy.
Yeah, big Mississippi guy. Have you ever been to his place?
No.
Dude, it's so sick. K-Dub's Kingdom. Man, how bad was the coverage in 08, dude? Like, it shouldn't be this bad.
1080p, 4K.
Yeah, dude. We've come a long way. Progressive's still there, though.
Yeah, I mean...
Yeah, that's right.
I feel like you remember this. Oh. And you can't even tell who they are.
So brutal, eh?
Yeah, I feel like I always, when I think of Daytona Supercross, I think of this. And then, obviously, Eli just wheeling down the backstretch.
Oh, no. And then James's wall jump.
That, too. Yeah.
Bro,
those 3 things.
Daytona's the best.
I think so.
For Supercross, NASCAR.
For NASCAR, yeah.
God.
I went to a Supercross race there. I don't know what year it was. Probably 2011. And I was already in NASCAR, but like I didn't have any passes, and I just drove in like I knew exactly what I was doing, and then stood on top of Victory Lane and just watched the race.
That's so good.
It was wild. That's the first time. I don't remember why I was down there for Bike Week. But yeah, no, it was super, super cool.
Yeah, it's awesome. That place is a vibe, dude.
I mean, the dirt's good. Speed's good.
Yeah.
It's like a good mixture of like.
And I think it just comes at like the right point in the championship. You kind of need it.
Yeah.
You know,
something to kind of switch it up.
Yeah, we're 6 rounds in. We've kind of got a bit of east. We've kind of got a bit of west. Now we just need to throw a cat amongst the pigeons. And it's like if you can mentally be.
I wish East and West got to run it though.
I know it should be an East-West shootout every year.
If I was on the West, I'd be pretty pissed that I didn't get to run Daytona.
Yeah, yeah.
Like I know you get A1, but A1's really cool, but it's not Daytona. Like it's just totally different.
A1 should almost be an East-West shootout.
Yeah,
really.
So like you should do A1, Daytona, and then how many do they do?
They do 3, right? Yeah. So Daniel Blair.
A1, Daytona, and then pick another one.
Well, or this. How about we do the East Championship is 5 races, the West Championship is 5 races, and then there's 7 East-West shootouts, and there's a championship for the East-West shootout.
That'd be cool.
I want to see that.
Yeah, that'd be good. I mean, I at least want to see A1, Daytona, and the finale.
Yeah, I wonder how they pick the East-West shootouts. Like, do you have any idea?
I don't know. I'm assuming it's probably like purely geographical, where the easiest to meet. I would imagine.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that East-West should be for sure A1. Like all the
Or
best guys should be.
Why
there.
have East-West?
Well,
why not just run all of them? Like our
Xfinity.
Xfinity series runs every race that we run.
Yeah.
Just let it go.
Have you heard all my big take on what I think there should be just like a whole restructure, top to bottom. Get rid of the 450C class practice. Get rid of the 450B class. Let's have 22 top guys. Then you got to have the teams. Like this is the thing people always get fucked up on. People just hang me for saying this, but I'm like, righto, get rid of all the dudes that are 5-6 seconds a lap off the pace. It's just not. There's got to be a place.
It's not doing anything. We have a minimum speed at ART.
How's that work?
They take like the fastest lap or like our predicted lap that we run, or they take our qualifying lap, but then I don't know what the percentage off of that lap is, but if you can't make that minimum speed, you're off the track. If you get in a wreck, and you're riding around and you don't make minimum speed, you're off.
Yeah.
Or if you can't qualify at that speed, then you're out as well.
Yeah, right. And does it get enforced often? I'm assuming after wrecks.
After wrecks, for sure.
Have you ever seen anyone just not be able to make the qualifying time?
Yeah, there's definitely been people. Like, well, if we have too many cars, yeah.
I mean, the problem we have is lappers, at least for me. The problem we have is lappers, which you get lappers in every form of racing, but I feel like they don't interfere with racing in the same way that they do with us.
Supercross, yeah.
Like it's a huge problem. Like it literally costs.
Well, it's dangerous too, right? Like in our racing, it's not dangerous.
Not as dangerous. Yeah.
I mean, like.
But I just think like affecting a championship as well.
Yeah.
Like you can Kenny would be leading the points right now without that happening to him, right? And there's like, he was sending it through those 2 dudes.
Yes.
To be fair. But it's like, as the leader of the race.
But then being that, like, he shouldn't have caught him that fast.
Well, there's that as well. But also, like, the leader of the race should be able to send it the entire, like, that's what we're paying for, And it's like, those guys are in their own race, fair. But I think it's the.
Do you know what lap times they were running?
Griff might be able to do some digging.
Be interested to see, like, what was Kenny's lap on that one, and then versus their lap time.
Yeah.
I bet might even be more than 6 seconds.
Yeah, and I mean, it probably is.
Yeah.
But I think you need to just get rid of those dudes. And then what would happen, though, this is the thing that not everyone thinks about, right? So if you're Honda HRC, you say to them, if you're failed, you're like, there's got to be 2 bikes on this track. That's it, period. If your two dudes are out, which they are right now, there has to be people that can fill this place. And then that's given the top place, Honda Privateer or whatever, that's given him maybe a paycheck, some access to the test track, some help, some like, you got to be our guy. So
be ready.
We need you to be the guy, right? Like whether it's a Dean Wilson, even if they like don't want to race full time, maybe it's a Kennard and he has to step in to do some races. Like, but you're going to have to invest in the privateers.
Yeah.
So the people that you're kind of saying you can't race here right now, if you're actually that good and you're able to be in that spot, like they need to make an investment into you to be able to be there in some way, right? So that means you're going to have 22 dudes. The factories are going to have to invest. They should have an Xfinity series. They don't. We have no feeder series. We've got like all these fragmented arena cross championships. Maybe they race.
I ran arena cross a couple times.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Dude, we got to get into that. But you know, gnarly. So you just have a setup where it's like it incentivizes the top guys to be the top guys. It cleans, because the biggest thing, right? Like you'd know from going to the races, like you get there at 8 a.m, you do the track walk. There's all these practices. The track's completely fucked because they don't have time to do the track. Like there's just all of these. It's just this constant thing.
The show could be better.
Yeah.
If you did it that way.
Yeah. So, and then you've got that, and then there's no comms to where you can't tell those two lappers that are in front of Kenny that, hey, pull right, don't gain a position, don't gain an advantage. Kenny hears go right, so where's he going to go? Left.
Yeah.
Crazy to think that it could just be that easy.
I do think it'd be interesting to have like if you had all your 250 guys in the 450 class and just you had 40
beasts,
great guys just going at it for their spots in the main.
Yeah. Well, I think even that, right? Like, let's say your idea about just no east-west and you put in those top 20 dudes, there's probably going to be some guys like Jordan Smith probably has a 450 ride.
Yeah.
Even if he's not in the main show every weekend, like he's got a ride. And, you know, like there's all these people that would get these rides. It'd probably promote people quicker because they'd like get onto the team and that'd
be interesting.
They need to do it. Have you found some lap times? What are they? So 102 was Hand's lap before, and Roxon was
56. Yeah.
So do some math for me. What is that? That's what?
That's
6 seconds?
6 seconds. Yeah.
Damn, man. What's the percentage? So like a percentage, 6 seconds is a percentage of that, you know, like.
Yeah.
He's a lot of percent off the pace.
Yeah, it's pretty. I mean, there's a lot though, right? I mean, if you look down through the field.
Yeah. And then like, yeah, I mean, they're getting, so what was he, a 102? Yeah, you look at guys towards the end of the.
You got Tomac that's running a minute on a broken leg.
Isn't that
whatever.
insane, dude?
What wasn't this the race that?
Yeah. Broke his leg and just beasted it out.
Yeah, and ran a 59.8 down there with his.
With one leg.
Fibula, bro.
With one leg, dude. Oh,
he's built different.
How do you just have a legacy season in 4 races?
I know. Like, so much so that everybody's like, you have to keep racing.
He ain't quitting, bro. I'm telling you right now. I would put.
Does he stay there?
I don't know. It's a problem because of Deegan.
Yeah.
Bro, they have a problem. So if Deegan
if you see their preschool, first day of school pictures, I mean, like, you got to get the wide lens out.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. Go fish out. You got to GoPro that shit.
Yeah. So, yeah, they're going to have issues.
Think about this. Deegan wins a title. Millie.
Yep.
Maybe not a mil. What would it be? 500 grand. He might even get more. Maybe they've asked for more. 500 G's there. Coop, 1.5. So now they're $2 million into just bonuses. Deegs is going to have a 450 ride. Coop has to keep his 450 ride. That's going to be some pretty heavy sign-ons. And then you've got Cooper, which is it a contract year for Cooper this year? Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's got.
So he's there.
Yeah. They're fucked. And Tomac ain't retiring right now. I can tell you that right now.
Is there a limit on how many 450 bikes you can have or no?
I think it's just about your money.
Old Bobby's got it, right?
Dude, that's a lot of
He seems
money.
like he loves it.
Imagine a 4-rider 450 team. Diggs, Coop.
Well, at this point,
Coop.
HRC wishes they had 4. At least you'd have 2 people still running. I don't know.
They got a problem.
Well, KTM used to have 3 regular, right?
They'd mostly do the 2. It'd be like a weird scenario
Yeah.
that they would have had. Who was 4? Oh, when they had Short, Tedesco.
Oh,
Yeah, that was 4. Those were the
Those
good
were
old-
solid guys.
Those were the
too.
good old days. Muscle milk money pouring in.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, they got a massive problem, bro. Especially if Coop wins this
When
championship.
everybody ran handguards.
Yes. Not just one. Shimoda.
If I was Shimoda, I would have to put 2 on.
You'd have to.
Because, like, when I ride dirt bikes back when I was a kid and, like, you know, if you just knocked one off in the woods or something, like, I felt like I didn't know how to ride after
Yeah, you had
that.
no balance.
I did none.
It was like you know when you jump on a trampoline and then you get off and you try and
Yeah.
jump. That's what it's like.
Yeah, I don't know how he does it.
I think it's just to
I
make
feel
a
like he's getting his
statement.
speed back, though.
It's just to make a statement like, "Oi, I'm hurt."
Yeah.
All right, it's like a little gazelle with a limp. You know? He's just making sure he's limping.
You walk into the basketball court with a limp, and then, you know, you still play fine, but you,
It's got
then
the-
you leave with a limp.
All the tape on the knee, just fully strapped.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Dang. So,
Yeah.
yeah, dude, that's a lot off the pace. I don't know what our percentages are, but
Dangerous.
yeah,
It's dangerous %. And it could have been so much worse.
definitely.
Like Kenny just got up and it was completely fine,
Yeah.
you know? So it could have been like really bad. But even Vince at San Diego was one of the most egregious examples of a lapper not pulling over.
I don't remember that one.
Bro, it was,
This year?
yes, we're going to play it. And you just give me your take because
From San Diego?
this year
No,
almost,
I went to San Diego last year.
almost ruined one of the best Supercross races in history. It was
Trying to
by
think
far
where
one
I
of the
was.
It was one of the best races I've ever been to. Where are we going here? Oh, dude, I forgot about Chase Storm out there. Oh, it's after this. Yeah. It was crazy though, dude. What? Before we get into that, what's your take on your boy Chase?
Oh, man, last week. Or what was that? What race was that?
Yeah, this week.
Yeah,
Arlington.
Arlington.
Did you watch it?
I did. I almost felt it coming.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know. Like
During
I feel,
the race?
No, like at the end, like, you know, after the stall, like I could tell, like he wanted it after that, right? Like I don't know. He saw a gap and went for it, and man, he was plenty fast.
Dude, he was very fast.
Yeah, I feel like he's got more speed now than he's ever had, and so like I think, yes, I kind of saw it coming. I feel like.
What's the race that like so? You're a good guy to talk to about this as a professional racer, and in a sport there's a lot of crashes. It's not. I feel like in our sport, you really can't crash. Obviously, like the consequences are gnarly, but also it's exactly what you said. Like the way that you put it is so good. It's averages. Like you have to have a certain average to win a championship, which makes errors, unforced errors, and crashes so costly.
Yeah.
And then in the press conference, he says, I'm a racer, I'm going for the win, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, okay, there's an argument to be made for that. But I think in the situation where, like, at least for me, he lost the battle and the war. So, like, he was trying to win a battle within a battle that goes towards the war, but it's like you could have not won that race and still won the battle, which is first place on the night, and still won the war by leaving with the points. Like that, it just seemed like such a, just didn't add up in that.
Yeah,
in
but
that
I
way.
think, you know, I mean, obviously he knows there's more racing left, I guess. And he feels like, I would assume he feels like he's the fastest, best guy that's left, you know, that they're racing against, right? And he's outlasted some of the guys, you know, and I think if that's the last race, I don't think he takes that chance, right? Because he knows what he needs to win the championship. Now, he hopes that when he gets down to the end of the season that that's not what cost it, you know, the championship. But, yeah, I assume he knew he would win if he finished second. I don't know that, but I don't know. I think, you know, for us, I mean, there's plenty of times where, so our sport is a little bit different right now, is, you know, when they restacked and redid how they do the playoffs. If you win one race, you're theoretically in the champion, you know, in the playoffs.
Yes, automatic qualification.
Unless there's more than 16 winners, which rarely is there. There's generally 12 to 13. So realistically, you win a race, you're in. So like like that race didn't really mean anything. The race was the overall champion, the overall finish, right, for that weekend.
Yeah.
So he gave a race win up to win
A moto.
That's tough when you look at it like that.
Yeah, and that's my perspective on it. And I'm trying to, like, I'm a huge Chase fan, like, and I'm a fan of him as a person too.
Yeah.
Like, he's a cool dude, right? But like, I'm trying to just, I don't know, like, call it as I see it in a way where it's like, dude, you actually were winning the.
You
battle.
won the race. You
wanted to win the
race.
battle,
Yeah.
right? And I think that there's a element that I understand of, like, I want to win that race and show that I'm the guy. But it's also like, can't you just walk into the press conference after winning and being in the middle of the podium and literally just say, when one of us softball questions you the way that we always fucking do, because no one's allowed to have any kind of gnarly take on something.
Yeah.
And just say, like, oh yeah, I let Cooper win.
Yeah. Who cares?
Everyone knows you were the fastest guy.
Yeah.
Like, it was very obvious.
After the stall, I think it would be, you know, and I mean, again, it's always easier to go back after the fact. I'm sure if he went back, he'd be like, hey, I would run second, right? But, you know, I think you get caught up in the moment, I'm sure, and wanting to show, like, everybody, like, even though you got back to his, you know, rear wheel, like, people know that you were clearly faster.
Yeah, and that's what you just walk in and say that straight up, and everyone knows. Everyone
That'd
knows
be gnarly.
it.
Yeah.
You just walk in and be like,
I let him win.
I let him win. Why the fuck would I pass the guy?
Yeah, I didn't need to.
I didn't need to. I was way faster.
I did my
than
work
him.
in the first two motos. Like,
Look at the lap times.
Yeah.
I crashed. I caught him, and then that's like big dick energy right there. Like, if that's what you're going for, because to me, from the outside looking in, that was an ego play of like, I need to pass to get this win. And it's just like, you can do that in other ways.
Problem is now you gave Coop, like, just
crack the door.
Yeah. And I feel like you don't want to play mind games with him.
No. And it's been 3 weekends in a row, you know, and like the problem is you don't want to get into a championship fight with Cooper Webb where for the last 4 rounds he needs to get second.
Yeah.
Because guess who's getting second every single week for 4 weeks in a row.
Yeah. He knows what he needs to do.
And the other thing...
I can't wait to watch the rest of the season.
I mean, he's giving us a crazy good season with...
Oh, yeah.
With, like, this stuff happening. The other thing, too, is, like, when you see him sitting down by himself at the end of it and the head... It's like, okay, so your words are telling me that you're just going to win and you don't care, you're a racer. That's the words. But by dropping your bike and sitting with your hands in your face, that tells, like, the actions say different to the words. And again, I'm being a little bit, I'm criticizing a little bit, but I feel like that's my viewpoint on it, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, and especially like if I was like on the team, I'm a little concerned. You know, like, again, like you said, like you are the guy. You're the fastest. You've shown that. But then, like, after that, you're like, you just got to get back up and just know that you're the guy.
Yep.
Yeah. But, I mean, I don't know if I've ever sat there like that. But, like, I've made plenty of dumb moves, so I probably have.
Well, I mean, you guys are... It's one of the cool things about moto, really. Like, some of the images, like, you know, Griff got some epic shots of him sitting there like that, and... Like
there's a lot of emotion
very
and like
dramatic.
raw stuff.
Yeah.
I feel like, you know, for us, you know, like race is over. You know, if it's a crash, like you end up going back to the garage. You got to go to the infield care center. You know, you get all checked out before really anybody ever sees you.
Yeah.
You know, so then like I don't feel like you don't get that side of it where, man, you just laid it all on the line. It didn't work out. You know, if I do that and it doesn't work out, like at the end of the 500, and I got to go to the infield care center, and like, well, heck, by the time you get out, you're like, it's been 20, 30 minutes. You know, so it's like, you don't get that. So, I mean, I don't know exactly how I would react in that situation, right? I mean, I feel like you see a lot of NBA, NFL guys, especially lately the NFL, like they lose the Super Bowl and they're just standing on the field. You know, I feel like that's a similar moment. Luckily for Chase, he didn't lose the championship yet, right? Yeah. Like he still has an opportunity to go win it. And so it'll be interesting to see how he kind of bounces back from that.
Yeah, no, you're so right. Like you guys are just so protected.
Yeah, we
Helmet,
are.
roll cage, visor down.
Even after the, like, you know, say I make a move or somebody makes a move on me and you finish second, and then, you know, we idle around, we come down pit road, we're still sitting in our cars, you know, you're taking all your stuff off, then you get out, but then it takes forever for media to actually get over to you, you know, so there's a chance to like chill out.
Yeah.
And so I don't feel like in our sport you don't get that kind of raw stuff like that.
Yeah, I'd never.
Unfortunately, I wish you would. I think it would be good.
Yeah.
I mean, you get raw stuff when people get mad at each other, but
Yeah, we get some good fights.
but like the actual, you know, like, man, I messed up, or like you'll get a few sound bites here and there. I feel like, you know, throughout the year, but not, you know, week in and week out.
Yeah. I never really thought about it in that context. You know, I think in F1, the guys have to get out of the car and they walk. MotoGP a little bit, but I mean, fuck, Supercross is pretty raw like that.
Is
you
right
know?
there. I mean,
right there, dude.
Like, where do you end up overall finishing that? Second or third? Third.
Yeah, that was the other thing.
So
too.
he had to go on the podium.
Yeah,
you know, like,
oh, dude, and he was sitting in the press conference, and like, we walked in. He was the first one there, and I walked in the room. And he was just like blank stare. And everyone was silent. It was fucking crazy. No one wanted to talk. It was just, and I walked up, I gave him a little fist bump, and I was just like, fuck, bro, you're still the man. Like,
I mean, he could come out a second faster than everybody. Like, you never know how it's going to play out.
Bro, the speed's not the problem, though.
I know.
You know, like, it's just, I think that's where I don't know, like, at some point, at least if it's me, like, you just got to start, like you said, play the averages, you know, like, what?
Dungy.
Who gives a fuck if you're the fastest guy? If you're the dude that's cashing the check, got the title, got the fucking name on the trophy, in the history books forever, you know, and it's just like at some point you would have to think, like, that's what people remember.
Yeah.
You know, and like this.
Griffin will tell you all the.
Yeah, he'll know.
All the championships.
Yeah. But at some point, like, being the fastest guy, like, it actually doesn't matter. Yeah. Like, you've got to be the dude that wins, or you've got to be the guy that scores the most points over 17 races. And
that's it.
Like Ricky said it when he did the podcast. He's like, I just had a championship mentality, you know? And it's like, even it sounds like that's what you've got when it comes to the car stuff. It's like,
it's what you got to have, you know, for a good season for us, you know. I mean, whether you're battling for a championship every year or you're looking at, you know, what pays is higher up in the championship, you know, whether it be 1st, 10th, 15th. Like, the higher you go, the better it pays for you and your team. More exposure for your partners and everybody involved. So, yeah, it's definitely a law of averages. But the problem is, I feel like for Supercross, the averages is basically
So
you got to win. You know, like, yeah, you could finish second every week, but, you know, theoretically, you're not going to finish second every week. So you're going to have to win.
You're right, though. It's made for a crazy good championship. You know, like we went from just having the most insane season of all time to maybe the most deflating 2 weekends in Supercross history.
Yeah.
Back into
to now we got a battle.
Wait a minute.
It's not fully done.
I'm interested.
Yeah.
I'm listening.
Yeah, it's good. I'm excited about it. I mean, as I was telling you, like, I grew up riding dirt bikes, and you know, I'm a massive fan and watch it nonstop. So we practice on Saturdays. Saturday night, I'm around the TV.
So sick.
Yeah.
Still after all these years.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I did a lot of woods riding growing up.
So is that what the start of it was for you? Like, so growing up in the country, riding in the woods?
Yeah, I did a lot, like a lot of woods riding. My dad grew up riding a lot of dirt bikes and, you know, goofing off with friends like they do in the 70s and 80s, or, you know, whatever they did. Yeah, so like I grew up, I was born when I was 6 weeks old. My dad, you know, my mom took me to the dirt track. My dad was racing. And then got my bike. I started racing BMX at 3. And then when I was 5 years old, BMX at 3, my dad got me my PW50 at 4. And then when I was
living the dream.
Oh yeah. And then when I was 5, he took me to a motocross track, and I spent like half the day on the motocross track. Half the day there was a dirt go-kart track, an oval.
Yeah.
And I spent half the day over there. And then we're riding home, and he's like, "Which one do you want to race?" And I picked the go-kart. No idea why. But that's the route I picked. And so we kept my dirt bike, and, you know, I would race go-karts, but we would go ride dirt bikes every weekend. My dad would race on Friday nights. I would race on Saturdays. We would go to church Sunday morning, ride dirt bikes Sunday afternoon, get everything ready again, and that was my childhood. That's all I did.
That is living the dream.
Yeah. And then I rode during the week nonstop.
Yeah. Was it easy to ride? Like, you could ride from your house, or?
So we lived in a neighborhood, but at the end of our neighborhood was just woods.
Woods, yeah.
Actually, both ends of the neighborhood was just woods. I got caught for trespassing a couple times, but
so you should.
Yeah, but I mean, I had trails there, and then we would go. There was always a lot of good trail riding, not too far from us. Did some motocross. You know, I liked going to motocross tracks. We didn't do it a lot. Ran an arena cross race. I don't know what year that was, but they always used to come to the Memphis Pyramid.
Yeah.
Where the Bass Pro Shops is now, in that big pyramid in Memphis. And yeah, I used to race back then, and I can't ever remember who was fast. There was these 2 kids on Suzukis. They were so fast. And, you know, me, the amateur in the way.
The dude getting lapped.
Yeah, that was me.
yeah. Don't worry, I can relate.
Yeah, so I don't know what year that was. I'd have to look up, you know, what year that was. But, yeah, these kids were good.
Did they go pro?
I don't know.
I wonder who it was.
We looked it up the other day. It was like at that time, Buddy Antonez was like the guy.
Yeah, Bud Man.
Yeah, but there was somebody else. Started with an M. Who did I remember? No, we looked it up.
Yeah, I feel like
What did you just type in to look it up? Let's try to find it.
it was like 2001 arena cross.
Yeah. He
Memphis.
was on a Suzuki team. Metcalf.
Metcalf.
I think Metcalf.
I think Metcalf did a few.
Yeah, he won every time they came to Memphis. I know that. Now, he wasn't in my class. Like, he was like
In the pro class.
in the pro class.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
remember who the kids were.
Yeah, there you go, results. Let's find this shit. Oh, 2001 race. Racer
I don't
X.
even think they really had good.
Josh Demuth, Isaiah Johnson, Darcy Lange.
I don't think they had actually good records of the races back then.
Such a trip, though. How was it? Like, you obviously enjoyed it?
Yeah, I'll have to get you a picture. I don't have it here, but actually I got it on my phone. But so we would practice during the day, and all day long practice, and then before like the night shows, the night portion, we would go eat and hang out in Memphis. And these two kids that were racing on Suzukis, I have no idea. But we were hanging out with them, playing pool, eating lunch and stuff, and I was starting on the back row of
the two rows.
I was starting on the back row and got a great start. And we went down and we went left, and then like had this little whoop section, and then we hung a right, and the finish line jump was right there, and I hadn't jumped it yet.
Oh, nothing like waiting for the race to jump the finish line.
Just waited for the race.
Couldn't have been Millsaps. Couldn't have been Millsaps, eh?
I don't know. I wouldn't think so.
Imagine.
How old's Millsaps?
He's our age.
So why couldn't it be?
I don't know if he raced
Yeah, I have no.
Well, he would have been in the kids class.
Oh, so it was like he was young.
I was on an 80.
Yeah, right. Wonder who it could have been.
I was on an 80. It could have been. I'll have to send you the picture whenever I find it. But I don't know what happened. All I know is my dad got my bike back up, and I got back on, and I finished the race, but I have no idea how. Like, I was like dazed and confused. I just like Superman this thing, front tire in the air, just
Brandon's
hammered
first
the
race
ground.
back. Oh.
Yeah. I laid on the trampoline the next day. My tailbone was hurting so bad. I didn't even run that was on a Saturday night, and they, Sunday they would have the amateur race, really.
Yeah.
And, they would shave all the jumps down a little bit more, and I didn't make it to that one.
One and done in arena cross.
Yeah. Well, two. I got Friday night and Saturday night.
I mean, that's no joke, though.
Yeah.
Like
yeah,
to go
the 80s,
and do arena cross?
Yeah, the 80s were the YZ. I had a YZ80.
Yeah. Sick bike.
Oh, yeah, they were cool. One of them was I had a 94 with the yellow YZ on it.
Yeah, bring that. I know.
We used to get
We
used to get the Chaparral magazines.
1994 YZ 85.
And I just wanted to look like McGrath all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically that one right there.
Dude,
something similar.
So sick.
Mine was a little bit darker blue, I think. But yeah.
Yeah, that was a good bike, dude. Was it an 85 or an 80?
No, they were 80s back then.
Yeah. Before.
They just started going 85s, I don't know, not too terribly long ago.
Dude, they still do the same shit at Washougal. That's pretty epic, dude.
They do what?
Like, so look at that photo there.
Yeah.
Now type in 2024 YZ 450.
And it's the same picture.
Watch. Washougal. The same place.
That's awesome.
That is epic. There'll be photos that look just like that. That's so cool. I have one of those in the shed right now.
Now I got a KTM 350.
It's the move.
It's like
we're near just a weekend.
I got the XC, so I got
Yeah.
a little extra gear there, and just ride.
Big old fuel tank.
I put a Supercross tank on it. It had an extra gallon tank in it, and it was clear.
Yeah.
And I didn't like that, so I put a black tank on it. And,
Where do you live in these days?
North Carolina.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good trail riding in North Carolina. There's good tracks too.
Yeah, that's a great place to be a motorcycle.
I was talking
rider.
to the Club MX guys because they're not too far from me. They're like, "Oh, you should come out." Like Jimmy Johnson used to come down here and ride. I don't know if he was supposed to or not, but they acted like it was kind of on the down low. But I saw them actually at the airport And then right before Daytona, I saw them, and they were like, "Oh, you need to come down and ride." So I told Shane we might, venture down there and make some content, go do some riding.
It'd be sick, dude. They got an amazing facility.
Yeah. I always wanted to, told myself, I was like, Dad, you should have let me ride, you should have told me to race dirt bikes. Then I could have practiced during the week, because we don't get to do anything except for on the weekends, really. We got simulators and things like that. But I do realize that my career would be over by now. So
true.
That's another bad part.
Yeah. Yeah, did you ever have any, were you ever in two minds of wanting to do one more than the other? Or
no, because
once
I picked, I was fully into go-kart racing, and we went head first into it. And then we just rode dirt bikes for fun. I didn't really start going to tracks. I had a PW50 when we went to that motocross track, and I didn't go to another track till I had a YZ80. So there was I never had a 65 that I actually had a Kawasaki 70 or something, but it was a 1970 that I rode. And, no suspension. It was my dad's sister's or something. So no, I was fully into go-kart racing, and car racing was kind of my path, and mainly because my dad raced sprint cars and dirt cars. That's all I had. I worked on his cars. I cleaned them at the dirt tracks, every Friday night and Saturday night, and so I knew exactly what I wanted to do.
That's such a sick way to grow up. As you get older, have you got to reflect on just how cool it is to grow up like that?
I mean,
you don't know anything different, I guess.
When I talk about it to people, to fans, and they're like, well, how'd you get into it? And, what's your upbringing like? I played football, basketball, baseball, played golf, and I did that until I was in 8th grade. And once I hit my freshman year, Dad's like, just pick a sport. If it's something else besides racing, that's fine, but just pick something, we'll focus on it. Well, I quit everything and continued to race. And, but I would say, when I start talking out loud about it, I'm like, dang, that was totally different than anybody I went to school with. I was at a racetrack, probably 40 weekends a year, my whole life, so there's 12 weekends that I wasn't at a racetrack maybe, we went on, I think I can count 4, maybe 5 family vacations when I was a kid. 4, it was all about racing. That's all we did. And so, I think maybe some people think oh, you missed out on childhood or this or that, but I mean, I wouldn't change anything.
Yeah, you're one of the lucky ones.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that go through that intense kind of grind as a kid with the dad that's racing, and that just isn't good,
Definitely have seen a lot of examples of that, and my mom and dad are super supportive. They're getting ready to move to North Carolina with us. We just had our first child, so my mom's all about that, and my dad has always wanted a piece of property. We grew up in a neighborhood on 2.5 acres, but my dad tried to get my mom to buy some land out in the country and build basically a barn dominium before it was cool,
yeah
35 years ago or whatever it was. But now, my dad can do that. We have a piece of property in North Carolina. He wants to cut grass. We got...
Right, he knows what's up.
Yeah,
dude.
he's I remember as a kid, I think for our yard, it was 7 beers. He said, if he would throw them out, and he knows that he went the right pace, to cut grass good. So he's looking forward to getting to North Carolina and doing the same thing. We got plenty of property. But now that I have our son, I'm telling my wife, man, we got to get a go-kart track. We got to get a pit bike track going. So we got to get things kind of prepped, which Dad's going to help me with.
That's living.
So
bro.
Dad's going to get to do that eventually, he wanted to do it a long time ago and, have it for me when I was growing up. But now we get to enjoy it. We got, side-by-side trails through the woods and doing that late at night.
How many acres you got?
It's fun. We're at 300.
Perfect.
Yeah.
That's the right.
It's
300
great.
to 400 is
Yeah.
the spot.
Yeah, Pastrana always told me, he's like, oh, you only need like 25 acres. It's a lot to keep up with if you can use other people's property around you. Because like his place, he's like, I use everybody else's property around me.
Yeah.
And I think Deegan kind of told me the same thing. I went to his place in 2011.
Which one?
Down here, close to Temecula.
Was that when you backflipped?
Yeah, Temecula.
I was talking to him on the way up.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I told him.
Yeah, dude. I called my crew chief. That was when we raced California, and I was like, "Hey, I'm getting ready to backflip a dirt bike," and he was like taking off to fly out here, and I didn't ask. I just did it. It was cool though.
Really cool. How was it?
It was great. Just into the foam pit. Didn't do it. It was super wet that day. Like they had to get the dozer out and like clean a lane off to like actually get going. So we didn't get to ride a ton. But yeah, we've backflipped in the foam pit, and he didn't think I was gonna make it around because like if you look at the videos, it was like when I throttled up, it like threw the handlebars into me. And then like the last minute I like pushed away and threw my head back and made it around. And he's like, "Oh, you would have landed that." And I was like, "Well, let's do it." He goes, "Oh no, I'm not letting you do it."
Dude, that's so gnarly.
Yeah, I don't know.
Where's the video? Would you have it? Is it online, you reckon?
I think I have it at home.
Yeah, dude.
I'll have to send that to you.
I've done it on a BMX bike, but I ain't signing up for that shit.
Like,
but I've done it in
a foam pit.
We had a foam. We had a foam pit,
yeah.
and then we had like a mulch. We built like a mulch landing. So like I did it into that, but fuck, I ain't doing it on a dirt bike. I'm too old, bro. Now I've hit the limit. I
think I'm at that limit now that I, don't want to try anything.
But
too gnarly anymore.
Your kid grows up, and then you're building tracks and jumps, and it's all of a sudden you're a 45-year-old dude that's
running your pit bike around.
Yeah.
That was my dad. I mean, he rode nonstop with me.
That's nonstop. Sick. I just love that. Like, I mean, you can even hear it in your voice. Like you just don't have resentment. Like I got a lot of friends that have had like incredible careers, made a fuckload of money, just crushed it.
Yeah.
Don't look back fondly.
Yeah, no, I mean, we had our differences, Dad and I. I mean, he's pretty, anybody that knows him now, I mean, he's pretty straight to the point and work for everything you got. And, I mean, there was times that, I'd want to go hang out with some friends, but race trailers not clean and ready to go or, whatever. I mean, I would say there was probably handful of times that I'd be like, that was tough times, but for the most part, it was awesome.
It's funny though, right? Like you look back on that now, even you say that like, the race trailer wasn't clean. It's like, well, it probably should have been clean.
It should have been. I mean, like when I look at it now,
in the moment, you're like,
actually, one of the times was I was actually already living in North Carolina. I'd already moved out, and we kind of had probably our last little kind of knockdown drag out. I took my buddy. He was running four-wheelers, and he wanted to run the arena cross race in our hometown. And I went back home, and I used one of our trailers to do it. And it had rained. It was super nasty. Well, I needed to go run a dirt race in Oklahoma. And so we took off and went, and I left the trailer dirty. And I was like, I'll get it when I get back. Not thrilled. Dude. That was probably the last time. That was probably 2011 or 12. But yeah, he always had very good reasoning.
Yeah,
nothing was out of reason.
Yeah,
especially now that I'm 37 and I'm like,
you look back and and you can probably thank him for a lot of the ways that you do things now.
100%. Yeah, I mean I don't think I would have ever made it to this level of racing if it wasn't for what he expected of me to do in the shop. Yep. Like I worked on the cars nonstop. I learned to work on them on my go-karts. If I wanted to race my go-kart, I had to work on it. I had to clean it. I had to clean the trailer. He was building engines for a living. Like he had things he had to do, and I would work at the engine shop as well. But, he put in the hours. Like the few vacations we did go on, there was 2 vacations, one for sure where we got up to leave that morning. I went out in the shop and he's still working all night trying to get stuff done so that we can leave. You know, so he loves working. And, you know, I think that's what helped me kind of keep focused on, if I want to do this, it's going to take a lot of work. And luckily, you know, we got along great, and, you know, we worked beside each other forever. And so I'm looking forward to having him back over in North Carolina so that we can, you know, do that again and do that with our son Stetson and, you know, whatever he gets into. It'll be fun.
Yeah, it's so cool, man. And probably served you well in your racing career. Like, as you get into NASCAR, it's one of the cool things about NASCAR. It's still very mechanical.
Yeah.
And it's like you can I'm assuming that you can be a part of a lot of conversations that maybe some other guys can't be.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I grew up mainly sprint car racing and dirt racing, and which those cars are completely different than stock cars. Like, I would say, like, somebody like, you know, Kyle Busch, Mark Martin, you know, Tony Stewart, some of those guys back in the day, they raced a lot of stock cars, and, like, they knew a lot about stock car racing. For me, I came in from dirt racing, and, you know, I know racing in general and I know cars in general, but, like, they're totally different. But right when I moved to North Carolina, I went in the shop and I was working on the stock cars, and, you know, because I didn't know anything else. So, like, when I had, go sit at my apartment or hang out at the shop and work on the race cars with my crew guys. And so I just worked on the cars with my crew guys, and that's how I kind of learned stock cars and, you know, how everything worked. And they weren't used to it. They're like, man, what are you doing here? Like, I had signed a long-term contract at Roush Fenway Racing at the time. None of the other kids were in there. Like,
how old were you at this time?
I would have been 20, 21.
Yeah, so young.
Yeah, 21.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was I graduated in 2007, and then that was 2008.
Yeah.
So,
wow.
Yeah.
Just straight in.
Yeah, I raced kind of with my dad and some, you know, guys that we had around home that sponsored us and helped us. We ran until through 2006. I graduated in 2000. No, I graduated in 2006. And 2007, I moved to Indianapolis, and I drove for Tony Stewart's sprint car team.
Yeah.
That was kind of like one of my big breaks. And then 2008 is when I moved to North Carolina to run stock cars. So that was, I guess, my second job, really.
Yeah.
My first job was moving to Indianapolis and racing. And I thought that's what I was going to do for a living, was race dirt cars. Like, I thought it'd be cool to go to NASCAR, but I wouldn't say like I had, like, that was dead set. Like, I just wanted to race something.
Yeah.
You know, like, my dad gave me an opportunity to ride dirt bikes on, you know, Supercross, and I was like, nah, I want to do this. And so when I started racing go-karts, I was like, I just want to race something on an oval full time. And I'd only known dirt racing. So, like, that's what I thought I was going to do.
Yeah, right.
And then it's turned into, I've been in North Carolina now since 2008. So,
yeah,
long time.
Yeah, like 14, 15 years.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, around there. That's pretty sick, though.
Yeah.
And that you just didn't even expect to really get into NASCAR.
No.
Is there a lot of pathways?
Not from Mississippi.
Yeah, true, eh? What's the biggest form of racing there? Is it sprint cars?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they do dirt drags.
Yeah.
That's pretty big.
Mud racing and
Yeah.
shit like that.
Yeah, it's big.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, like, we're kind of north. We're right south of Memphis, so there's a lot of, like, drag racing and stuff. But when I was growing up, there was a dirt track in Memphis, and a dirt track in Arkansas, like right across the river. So, and then there's some up in Missouri, but there was a lot of dirt tracks right around us that we were really close to.
Yeah. Yeah, the sprint cars is huge in Australia.
Oh, yeah.
There's a massive scene at home for it, eh? We had
huge.
We grew up a mile and a half from a sprint car track.
Which one?
Cairns, like just the top, way up north in like.
That's what the guys tell me. They're like, man, like, you got Sydney or like Perth is a racetrack, and then like they'll name them, but they're like you think it's close, but they're like, no, it's like a 12-hour drive.
Oh, yeah.
Like
we were 24 hours drive from the capital city of our state.
Wow.
It's like driving from here to Dallas.
Yeah.
And we're in the same state.
Right. Yeah.
Look
That's
up.
what they were trying to tell us. They're like, dude, it's gnarly. And the roads are.
Yeah, just one lane either way, highway. Look up Cairns Speedway. This was my local speedway growing up. I went here every single night that there was a speedway on because we couldn't fucking sleep because that's how close we were to this place.
Really?
So it was either go to the speedway.
Dude, that thing looks nice.
Yeah.
Then they got a road course in the infield?
That must be new. That's our see the Supercross track there? That's Jatz's Supercross track. So like my house is literally like, see where like kind of the lowest hill is?
Yeah.
We're like literally there.
Oh, that's cool.
So yeah, we drive along that road. That's
So where do you fly in there?
Cairns Airport. There's like an international airport. But yeah, so
Gotcha.
that speedway was literally like every Sunday. My uncle raced.
Did they race sprint
sidecars.
cars there?
Yeah, sprint cars there. They did all.
Oh yeah, I
sorts of
see
shit
a sprint car right there.
there. Yeah. So, but anyway, we literally
Sprint cars are gnarly. I mean, they're 900 horsepower and they weigh 1,400 pounds.
Well, it is the most powerful powder weight vehicle,
I
isn't
think
it?
so.
That you race. Yeah.
I
Statistically.
mean, it's wild. I mean, they're nuts.
One gear.
Yeah, just put it in gear and just roll with it.
Put it in gear and fucking send it.
Yeah, as soon as they push you off, and I wish I got to do that longer.
Yeah.
Like I didn't start that till I was 15 years old, and then I did that. So 2003, I ran a half a season. I ran 2004, 5, and 6.
Yeah.
Kind of wing sprint cars. So like 4.5 years of it before I started going to stock cars, and then now I do it with my dad, and I still do it for
Just
fun.
for fun. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll do 15, 20 races a year.
Really?
Like, yeah, he takes care of it, and
That's just like his thing.
yeah, he loves it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he acts like if we don't win those that, we're not going to be able to race on Sunday, right? Like that's his mentality, which is cool.
Yeah.
Like he's still like super competitive.
He's a
racer and super competitive. So it's a lot of fun. Like, our whole family will go out. My wife, her dad raced sprint cars back in the day.
No way.
Her brother worked on, race cars. And so, yeah, our son definitely going to race. I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, he will.
We'll see. I'll give him an option like my dad did, but yeah.
Oh, that's awesome, dude. Yeah, it's a massive thing at home. I mean, I think Perth is like really, really
Perth
big
is really
for
big.
it.
Yeah.
And like, because you got all those.
They just had a 100,000 to win race there this year.
Really? So, and you've never been down there to race, eh?
No, I was supposed to go in 2000. I think it was the off season in 2005 to 2006. And like, I don't know, like something happened and I didn't end up going. And then I was glad I didn't end up going because the guy that ended up driving the car I was going to drive, they like had engine issues like every night. So it worked out, but I was really bummed for all winter long. It was before you really watched races online. So, I'd go to the websites, the forums, and I'm like, who won? Like looking at it. And then, yeah, they had a lot of engine issues on the car I was going to drive. So it worked out.
Yeah.
But I still haven't been.
You'll get back there. I would love to see NASCAR do something with V8 supercars. One of the road circuits, one of the,
Well, I mean, now I think, to NASCAR's point, like moving to this car, it definitely has made it where we have other options to go do. Like I don't think if we would have had our other cars, I don't know if we'd have done the street course in Chicago.
Yeah.
I don't think we'd have done the LA Coliseum. Now, granted, it wasn't great, but
yeah, that's more of an exhibition, right?
It is an exhibition, but like I don't think we would have done it, We're going to Mexico City this year.
That'll be huge.
So that's cool. And then, so I mean, I'm sure they would at some point they're thinking about flying us somewhere, and who knows where that is. But yeah, the V8 supercars, like watching them race is insane. Those guys are so good.
Yeah. Yeah. Like
so good.
Really good drivers.
Yes.
And it's like it's crazy because it's I mean, I don't know. Is it the same with you guys? Maybe not because there's just so many more people here, but like all of those guys have just been racing each other forever. It's kind of like Supercross.
Yeah.
Like by the time Malcolm Stewart and Eli Tomac are racing 450 class, they've been racing since they were
a kid. Yeah.
You know, and it's kind of like that in V8 supercars. So like,
there's just nowhere to go, right? Like, I mean, you're there.
There's so few people. It's the tip of the spear.
Yeah.
And you've been at the top kind of your whole life, you know, and it just creates a lot of drama, a lot of tension, but then a lot of guys that have pushed each other to a very high level for a very long time, you know, like
and that's why
quite
you get the product.
Unique, it's quite a unique product that they have got.
Yeah, whenever it's on TV, like I definitely tune in because, I mean, I just feel like they're so good at putting their cars like, you know, a half an inch from every single wall. Like they're putting exactly where they want to every single time.
Yeah.
It is impressive. And then, you know, when Shane Van Gisbergen came over and raced with us, like we could see that. You know, like we were like, whoa.
Were you in that race with Chicago with him?
Yeah. Yeah.
What was that like?
He was just way faster than everybody. I mean, like, I feel like now that we've gotten used to these cars, there's people that are definitely caught up. Yeah. You know, but at the same time, like there's you know, the car, like other people's cars are better too, right? You know, it's not like, I felt like when he first won, like it was new to everybody except, you know, it was probably closer.
Except him.
It was probably closer to what he was used to. But like talking with him since then, I mean, they're still quite a bit different.
It would have been it would have been completely different in terms of like the car but he just knew how to race that kind of race.
And on a street race. Like, you know, none of us had, I think him and one other had done a street race, you know, and like we were just nervous not to crash, you know, because like we're not used to having to look around walls and things like that. Like our corners, you can always kind of see where you're going, and he would send it, and you know, and we're looking at it, we're like, well, I guess you can go that fast through there, you know, and so then like it made us get better, and you know, I think we finished 6th at Chicago this year, and you know, it was like a rain race, like kind of half rain, half not, and it was wild. But yeah, he's definitely made us all better on road courses, that's for sure. So he definitely brought that V8 supercar mentality to our road course racing.
Yeah, I love the video, like the Instagram that they posted of him like heel toeing.
Oh, his feet, yeah,
that was sick, and that went pretty viral in the whole NASCAR world.
Yeah, so like I actually just asked him, you know, because you don't have to heel toe our cars, but he said he still does. I'm like, man, he's doing all that and going faster than I am doing it. You know, like it's wild.
Yeah, has there ever been anyone come and do what he's done? I mean, well, I guess you had.
People
you
like,
had a couple of the
like,
Aussie boys that came
Marcus
over
Ambrose, you know, I mean, he came in and was really good on road courses and won. And, you know, AJ Allmendinger kind of the same way. But now I think it's more enticing because, you know, back then those guys were coming in and they would have to drive for a team that, you know, didn't have the funding and things like that, right? Like there was a big separation.
Yep.
In our sport right now, like, I mean, you can go buy the same exact car that Hendrick has, you know, like same parts and pieces. You still got to put it together and you still got to put your setups and things like that on it, which is still a major, you know, portion of going fast. But I think it's enticed a lot of those guys because they know that the equipment of a car that they're going to get in is going to be good, and they can make up the difference, you know, at that point. And Shane definitely showed everybody that, you know, when he came over, and you know, and he's, you know, now he's gets to race all the ovals with us, and you know, he gets to learn that, which I mean, there's a lot to learn. But yeah, no, it's cool. He just bought a place out by me, so he's got a little horse farm out by me.
Sick.
Yeah,
he's a good dude.
He is a good dude.
Really good dude. Funny as fuck when you get to know him.
Yeah. We haven't just hung out yet. Like he just got his place, like, I don't know, middle of the off season. So yeah, I'm sure we'll.
He rips a dirt bike too, bro.
Yeah, that's what they said.
Yeah,
so
I can attest. I've gotten roost from the back of his tire multiple times.
Yeah, so yeah, when we get the pit bike tracks and things like that done, I'm sure he'll have one. and a lot of other people will have one in our garage, and we'll have some Friday night lights,
Dude,
Thursday night lights.
I love that your old boys just figured out that the thing that you want to do in life is mow grass on your own property.
Yeah.
Like, I just think that's like where every like old rich dude that I know, that's like literally the vibe.
Yeah.
Everyone gets to that. And if you can't get to that, you haven't finished whatever game you're playing yet.
Yeah, it's nice now. I mean, it's listen to the 90s country music, got my tractor with the AC, and just cut some grass. Just cut some grass.
Dude.
Yeah. Yeah. So I enjoy it. But you got to remind yourself to do those things too. I mean, like, because you can stay so busy, and like I can always find something to do that's not that.
Yeah.
So we got longhorns, we got some donkeys that we take care of. My wife got it's called like a high park. It was a white park, which I think is kind of Australian.
What is it?
A cow.
Oh, okay.
And mixed between a Highland cow.
Yes.
We had one of those, and we bought this property, and it was like an equestrian property, so like it's set up for horses, but we had like this cow that we put in the stalls, and this thing pinned me up against the fence a few times. It was pissed, so we just let it out in the pasture with the longhorns. But yeah, we got a piece of property there that we just love. Pull through the gate, shut the gate, and
yeah, that's sick.
Run around.
Yeah. What keeps you the most busy? Like, because, so, I mean, you flew here to do this. You're always doing media stuff. There's a big corporate side of NASCAR that I think our world doesn't get as deep into. I mean, maybe it's because the guys have to spend so much time training. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, you guys are extremely busy, and you're always kind of working with sponsors, working for NASCAR themselves. Like, it's a whole big thing that people might not understand.
Yeah, so I would say, obviously our Saturdays and Sundays are at the track, right? That's filled up, mainly competition. Yeah, we got media to do throughout the weekend, but that's more competition. Tuesdays are all about competition. I go to the shop and have meetings, hang out with the guys, talk over the past event, look forward to the pre-event meeting, and so that's all on Tuesdays. We used to kind of split that up between Tuesdays and Thursdays, but now we kind of do it all in one day, so that the guys can really focus on the car from Tuesday on. Mondays are my off day.
Yep.
I'll sleep in a little bit depending on when we get back. Do a light workout. I work out Monday through Friday mainly, but all tailored different. Mondays are just a little recovery, run and stretching and stuff, and then Tuesdays are more of like intervals. Wednesday's a full body lift. Thursday's long run. Friday's kind of more of like a CrossFit style workout because I like to do a lot of CrossFit.
Yeah, are you working out because you really like to work out, or are you working out because you need to work out?
Both. When I first got a trainer, I'd never looked at my heart rate in the car. So he got me a heart rate monitor, and it was the 2018 Coke 600. My heart rate hit 205.
No way.
Yeah. I was like, no way. Well, then I started wearing the heart rate monitor as I'm working out in the car, and now my max in the car is like 160.
Really?
Just for because of the way I train now. And so he's done a really good job of, the lower your heart rate, the better decisions you're going to make. And just hydration. I mean, our cars get hot.
Yeah.
That I would say that's probably the number one thing is just being hydrated. Middle of the summer, it can get 130, 140 in your car for 4 hours.
Jesus.
So, you're toasty there for a long time. So,
how much water are you drinking in that time?
I have 100 ounces that I have in my car that I generally go through.
That doesn't seem like a lot.
I don't think it is. I mean, I still feel dehydrated on Mondays. But
I'm like, I have 8 ounces of AG1 in the morning, and that's fuck all. So I don't know if 10 times that
is enough. Yeah, no. So, and I have a 100-ounce like Camelback in the car.
Yeah.
And then if I know I'm drinking a lot of it, under a pit stop, I'll ask them to hand me a bottle. That way I'd keep some in my Camelback. But yeah, so that, workouts take up a decent amount of time, Monday to Friday. But then we do a lot of event promotion stuff for NASCAR, for the tracks.
Yeah.
Like there's a certain amount of hours or races that we have to do, Zoom calls, radio interviews, TV interviews, kind of you name it. Sometimes we have to fly, to the market and actually, help promote the event in market.
Yeah.
There's an aspect of doing that. And then like our sponsors on our cars, I mean, once you sponsor our car, I mean, it's kind of free reign really they can get us to do a lot.
Yeah, right.
And we do a lot.
Yeah.
But it's something that I've enjoyed and I've really kind of embraced. Like I felt like I used to look at it as like, oh man, I got to do something else.
I have to do this.
I have to do it. And maybe that's getting older and a little bit wiser. It's like, man, I get an opportunity to race. I've wanted to do this my whole life. But now also I'm making, really good friendships and connections, all throughout different industries.
1,000,000%.
I've got people in just about every different industry that I could call on if I need something. And
when you retire from racing.
Yeah. I don't want to think about that. I want to race another 10 years at least.
Yeah,
when I'm done, like there'll be different avenues.
Yeah.
Or if my son wants to race and we need sponsorship and, so just building those relationships has been probably something that I've enjoyed the most.
Yeah.
Kind of like
and
as
you
older
can
I've
meet
got.
some great people.
Yeah.
Some really, really great people.
Yeah. And from all different walks of life, right?
Yeah.
Like that you would have never come across. And
100%.
so that's what I've enjoyed a lot. And, I think I didn't enjoy that as much when I was younger. I think I did a good job with it when I was younger, but I just didn't enjoy it as much. Now, like I actually, embrace it and enjoy it and, make it worth everybody's time, and I try and do that with the fans as well. Some little girl gave me this in the fan zone in Daytona and, just hanging out with the kids, it's really fun. Like our sport, I think the fans get so much access, similar to, Supercross, on a full day. If the fans want to get there and go hang out by the trailers and they're going to see their rider at some point. And they're going to have some kind of interaction with them. And I think our fans get that a lot. And so again, sometimes you're like, oh man, I got to walk through this fan zone to get to driver intros or, whatever. But now that I'm where I'm at now, I'm like, yeah, like I get to, this is awesome. Like these people are here to watch us put on a show. So embrace that. And, they might not be your fans and they might cuss you every now and then, but at least they're there watching the show, right? They're watching the show. They know who you are. So that's a positive. But yeah, no, it's good. We stay very busy. And so like our off time is, like I told you, we race 38 weeks out of the year. We do a little testing here and there, but also fill up some of those off weekends with dirt track racing. So, we don't have much of an off season. We're on the grind.
We need to bring you a quick word from our sponsor, motorsport.com. I got a YZ450F out the back there, so I got some upgrades to do. You know exactly where I'm going. I'm going to need some help with customer service, so I'm going to chat with a gearhead. This box showed up. It has a 2007 KTM master cylinder. a Yamaha caliper, also 2007, and a Turner braided brake lines. I feel like this is a very good upgrade for $600. Need the old hanger, so we're going to put a bit of grease on that and get it back on, bolt her up. Caliper has been done, now this can just get bolted on. Now, shout out to Kiefer, who I think stole this off Doug Dubai. That was easy. No, that was easy. All it needs now is to be bled and ridden. This is a pretty epic upgrade. You can get OEM parts to build this little Frankenstein brake kit, or basically anything else for any brand by going to motorsport.com. So, how much did the training help you? Did you think it was going to help you as much as what it did?
I didn't expect to see my heart rate change
drop the way that it did
that drastically.
Yeah.
No, and I never would have guessed it was that high either. But I guess I didn't really know because I never trained it. I never looked at it. I did hard workouts. I did CrossFit style workouts and whatever. But like,
it wasn't like systematic. And
no,
like
it wasn't
very
like
tailored,
focused on anything. And then I hired my trainer who had been in motorsports background training, and he's like, hey, we need to see what your heart rate is. Like, he tailor work, like I'll be working out and he's like, yeah, you need to pick it up. Your heart rate's not where it needs to be. Right. And so, yeah, it's wild. Now I do all that working out, and then I do, just dumb workouts with friends just to see how far I can push myself.
Yeah. It's cool that you're into that though. Because I'm sure you could get away with not doing it.
You don't have to do it. You definitely don't have to do it. It's not like Supercross where if you don't do it in Supercross,
you ain't in Supercross.
You're not in Supercross, which on some level, I wished our sport was a little bit like the more I put in the gym, the faster I went. I wish there was a correlation to that for sure.
You kind of it's like a bit of a race to the bottom though, in a way, because, and maybe that's one of the reasons why Supercross is so far behind when it comes to the corporate side of things and the sponsorship side of things, because if you ain't on the track Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, you ain't fucking winning. Like it's over. It's not happening,
Yeah, so you don't have a whole lot of time outside of that.
Maybe that is, like Eli talked about it on the podcast, where he's like, I wish we didn't have to train as much. I wish we didn't have to ride as much. We're just exposed to so much risk.
Yeah.
Do you
honestly, think there should be, so like for us, we can't test.
But how do you police it when Eli's living in Cortez, Colorado, population 86, on his big ass property with a bunch of YZs and a practice, like,
I don't know.
But so what you just said made me think, like, if the guys were required to do certain things on certain days, maybe that is the way that you do it.
So do they ride Monday through Thursday?
You'd probably know this a little bit better than me. I haven't been to a facility in a long time.
Chase used to ride, I think, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then after that.
Yeah.
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
Yeah.
But I feel like, to your point, in this, that doesn't leave a whole lot of time for other things, right?
Well, you can't do any media. Like none of the guys do media. None of the guys will do radio interviews. Nothing. It's not a thing. They don't do any sponsorship in between.
Yeah.
Like we're at DIXXON Flannel. They sponsor the HEP Suzuki team, and they had Roxon and this team there on like the Thursday night, or was it Friday night? Friday night for an hour doing a signing.
And that's about the extent of it.
And that's like one main sponsor that, because their headquarters is in Phoenix.
Yeah, that's interesting.
It's compared to what you do.
Oh, we're constantly doing stuff.
But I mean, that's always been the thing, right? Is that it is a race to the bottom, because the fittest guy generally has the best chance to win. Yeah. And in Supercross, it'd be much like yourself with training, right? Like you see compounding over time. And so when you do lap after lap after lap after lap, year after year after year after year, uninterrupted, continuous, Like, that is what just builds this crazy base. So that separates the outliers, like the people that can put in that level of work and that level of compounding, like their curve just goes up. And you can get like 5 guys that can do that.
Put that in.
And that can maintain that have enough luck to not get injured, that have the talent.
Yeah.
So like that is why I think at our sport, it's so just completely separated from the haves and the have-nots in a way, you know? So yeah, if you implement some kind of thing where it's like, hey, on Wednesdays, like you have to be doing media on Wednesdays. That like, whether it's Zoom, whether it's this, whether it's that, because I think that's one of the biggest problems is they jet straight back. They do a recovery ride Sunday, and they're back at it Monday, they're back at it Tuesday, Wednesday, and then Thursday they're basically flying because press day is Friday.
But don't they sell out just about every place they go? Or no?
Pretty much. The crowds have been crazy.
I mean, they've been good.
Yeah.
So it's like, what are you promoting?
Yeah, 'cause you guys have so much.
Already there.
You guys have so many
We got
seats.
so many space, and we got so many, like, motorhome spots. Like, so many people camp, and, like, there's 100, I think Daytona holds 110.
Yeah, so that's like 2.5 Supercross races.
Yeah. That's in the grandstands, but then, like, there's another 50 or 60 camped and partying in the infield now, around the track.
What's the biggest crowd you reckon you've ever raced in front of?
It would have been one of the Daytona 500s. I think in 2012 when I ran, they still had some of the grandstands on the backstretch. So it was probably, that 140, 150 range.
What's the atmosphere like in the car?
Can't really hear it, once you're strapped in. But like driver intros are wild at, Daytona. Just the excitement. Everybody's like just pumped up and ready to go, especially this past year when Trump was there. President Trump was there, and it was like...
Can you find a clip of that?
Yeah, it was...
I remember that he went to that.
Yeah, so it was really cool, and the atmosphere was just jacked. Like, they knew he was there, and then, start of the season, it's like our first race. Like, I mean, there's just so much going on. And then Bristol's really cool.
Yeah.
It's just a coliseum.
Yeah.
There he is.
Turn it up. The second sitting president. Who was the first, I wonder? Oh, George W.
Bush.
Yeah.
A race won by the man who will wave the green flag.
Oh no, this was 2020. Yeah, because we were on the pole in the Kroger, that blue car right there.
Oh, you got pole that year?
Yeah, in 2020.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, and then he drove around the track. That was sick. So he's the only president that's been there twice, because he came this year too.
Yeah. Go back to the this year.
I think that's
this one 8 days ago. Someone just filming from the crowd.
That was when they were...
Oh, that's Air Force One. Wonder how quick from when he like gets off the plane.
There was like 3 of us drivers that went up and shook his hand after the national anthem.
That's pretty sick.
Yeah.
And so the atmosphere was just insane.
Oh, dude, they were so loud. Like when his his beast. I think they call it the beast that he, that car right there.
Yeah.
When it started pulling through, to pit road, it was wild. It was so loud.
And you guys were all outside the car at that point.
Yeah, it was loud. It was gnarly.
Did you watch
Security's wild though.
Yeah, I bet.
Like doing security like in your driving suit.
Bro. No, wait, so they put you are subject to security?
Yeah, like they checked your golf carts and everything.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, it makes sense.
It makes total sense.
Bro, I still can't believe that dude got shot.
That's wild, huh?
Like, Fuck, every time I think about
Yeah.
it.
Well, Butler, Pennsylvania.
Bro, I was
on the map.
I was in Australia when it
You
happened.
were?
I was, yeah, and my...
Do y'all pay attention? Do the Australians pay attention to like what's going on over here?
Yeah,
Like a lot, or like
especially like election time.
Yeah.
for sure. But I mean, like growing up my whole life, like American news is Australia. Like it's our news. You know,
I mean, like I watch the world news, so like I mean, you see everything that's going on in the world, but I didn't know if.
Yeah, no, we'd be pretty tapped in.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, there's even like protests in Australia.
Really?
When shit happens. Oh, dude, like when Trump.
That's wild.
Yeah, when Trump first got in, there was like anti-Trump protests and so like.
Even over there.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's
But I
just-
guess it changes the world, right?
It does.
It might not be for your country, but it does affect you.
Oh, man.
Like
100%.
yeah.
But yeah, I was home and I just had people texting me. Because I don't have Instagram on my phone like 90% of the time.
Yeah.
Like I'll get it at a race weekend when I'm like doing shit or whatever.
Yeah.
But I try and like not have it. And I was just
That's
getting
good self-control.
yeah.
Or there is no self-control. That's why it's on or off.
I just get very distracted by like the numbers game of the podcast.
Gotcha.
So
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah, yeah,
necessarily like scroll and look at shit
Yeah.
that much.
Yeah.
But it's more that it makes me work 24/7.
Yeah.
And I'll DM this guy and I'll set this up and I'll check this like
So it lets you disconnect a little bit.
just keeps me
Yeah.
on way too much. And
So did you have it when you were in Australia?
No. So I'm just chilling, dude, in Australia.
Yeah.
Like just not on my phone. I went to watch a buddy in his jiu-jitsu tournament. And you just see everyone's heads go down
In their phone.
on their phone. It was fucking
So
crazy.
what time would that have been? Because
It
I was up.
midday.
Yeah. Because I stayed up late until that thing was over.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't even think about the time zone change. I mean, it was like mid-morning, I reckon,
Yeah.
when it happened. And yeah, you just see everyone on their phone, and then everyone starts. It was like a crazy scene.
Yeah,
to,
me
like,
and my
witness
son,
it.
he had woke up, and I was I was awake watching, the news, just paying attention, and I went to bed last time, and that didn't work out real well. So,
yeah.
so and he was ready to eat, so I just held him, and we just watched the news
Dude, yeah,
till
I
like
mean,
3 a.m. or something.
I just don't know if people realize how big of a moment that was.
Yeah, that was wild.
I knew he was winning the presidency after that, no matter what happened. Like, in my mind,
Yeah,
100% he was going to be the president after that.
Yeah.
But I just don't think people understand the ramifications. Like, if he died,
could you imagine getting shot just shot at?
and then, like, this shit, right? Like,
Yeah.
then you go,
And then you still got to go out in public
that's what's hectic.
Yeah.
Like, when I see him doing this,
in the middle of a. I mean, you
Still
feel like
freaks
you
me
feel like
out.
you're safe at a NASCAR race for him, but
yeah,
I mean,
that's the demo.
in public though, like
Dude.
I'd be nervous.
Goes to show, like, that's a pretty crazy character trait. You know, like, it's very revealing. He's either like a super brave dude or the world's biggest narcissist. You know what I mean? Like, just to be able to get back out
Yeah.
there. But, like, I just think, like, he's that guy, you know, where
Yeah.
he's, like, down for the cause. And I've said over and over, the whole world dodged that bullet.
Yeah,
Like that, I don't think people understand how bad that is. Like, imagine the America we're living in right now if he got shot.
yeah. I don't know
What would have happened, dude?
Yeah, I'm glad we don't know. Yeah, I mean, it's as divided as everybody is right now, right? Like, I mean, that would have pushed it over the edge. I feel like
For sure.
doing this podcast might have been tough. Who knows?
Yeah,
right? Like,
yeah.
I
No,
don't know.
dude.
You don't really know.
That would have just been so insane to go through.
But no, it's always super, just to have any president, of the
A part
United
of
States, come and be a part of your event. I remember Micheal Obama came to our last race used to be in Homestead, and she came, and that was a huge deal. Like her husband was president, and the first lady comes to your NASCAR race. Like that was huge, and so like yeah, I mean, to have President Trump at the Daytona 500 is definitely special.
And I mean, the
it made
Daytona
it
5
electrifying.
Dude, and the Daytona 500 it's like one of the biggest sporting events in American culture.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, you got that. You got the Super Bowl, Indy 500.
Yeah.
I mean, I think
Kentucky Derby.
Yeah. I mean, you have like that's the Mount Rushmore, type thing, right? And, it's a race that we all try and win. We, gear up all off season long, focused on the Daytona 500. And then you feel like your season starts after that. It's like you're going to lay it all on the line, to chase this point in the last, in the last race. You're going to lay it all on the line. If it doesn't work out, you're going to take your chances of your average finish going down, but that's a chance you're willing to take, to win the Daytona 500, because it is just life-changing. We got to win it in 23, and, I mean, so we won in 23, and from Sunday to the next Sunday, we raced out in Fontana. So we flew out here, but in between, I went to Chicago, New York, back in Charlotte doing stuff with the team. I think I averaged 3 hours of sleep every night. Just one thing to the other. But it was cool because you got to represent your sport.
For sure.
On every major thing that you can think of. Opening NASDAQ and going to do all this stuff. It was wild. It was so cool.
So you can just say winning the Daytona 500 changes your life.
Yeah. And then every time I'm introduced at the event, it's a Daytona 500 champion, right? And so you want to win the Daytona 500 and you want to win a championship. So we got one. We still got to do the other, but then we got our crown jewels, kind of, no different than Supercross. You want to win the Coke 600, you want to win the Brickyard 400, and you want to win the Southern 500, and then you want to win the Bristol night race, which I think our best shot at the next of those is the Bristol night race and then Charlotte. Two good tracks for us that I really enjoy. So yeah, Daytona 500 definitely changed my life and our team. I think we're a single car team. We're really the only single car team left. So it was a huge boost for our whole organization.
Yeah. So what's it do for a single team, and what's the difference for you?
Well, just money wise, basically for that season was huge, but also for seasons to come, because the way our point structure and purses are given out, they take your 3-year average of where you finish in points. So we made the playoffs that year, so our average was better. We finished 15th or 16th in points that year, so it brings your average up, and makes it better. So therefore, your team gets more money throughout the season, and then just attracting sponsors and what it did for the sponsors that we had. They believe in the sport. All of them are really still in the sport.
Probably solidifies the attachment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And, and it's one of those races that, every great has tried to win, and not all of them have. And it's very circumstantial at the way the Daytona 500 plays out. You got to miss the wrecks, but you still got to have a fast car and a good car, and you got to know what to do with it. You got to have good pitch strategy to put yourself in the right position to win. And we won that race. My guys on the pit box and strategizing my race, they knew we were going to be close on fuel, but they weren't going to have me pit, lay it all on the line. If it works out, it works out. I didn't have enough gas to do a burnout because we were out. And so, things got to play out the right way.
Bro, how's the anxiety on you?
I didn't know I was that close. I mean, I was saving. So, they come over the radio and
they're like, hey, man.
They're like, save us any gas you can. So,
not saying it's a problem, but just
I could tell it was an issue. But like we don't have gas gauges, so like I have no idea how much gas I have. So like under cautions, like we're pushing in the clutch, we're shutting it off, and we're just coasting. And then right before, like the guy behind you gets to you, you dump the clutch, kind of gas it back up, shut it off again. And we're doing that nonstop. And I was doing that. I think we had 2 cautions at the end that I was having to do like massive fuel savings. And we were in overtime. It was the longest Daytona 500 ever because we kept going into overtime. Like you have to take the white flag under green flag conditions.
Yes. Yeah.
Before it's over.
Yeah.
And there was another wreck. I think Pastrana was in that race. And he got in the last wreck. Like, I don't know, something happened, and then he ended up getting in that one. But that was in turn 1, and we had just taken the white flag.
Ugh.
If we were, in turn 4,
The lap before.
I wouldn't have made it on gas because we'd have had to, restart again, and I didn't have enough gas. So, yeah, that'd have been wild.
Dude, everyone knows the anxiety of like you're on the fuel light. And you're like,
Oh, yeah.
Where the fuck is the gas station right
Yeah,
now, dude?
I do it all the time, and I ran out this off season.
I've only ever run out once.
Really?
in my
I've
whole
ran
life.
out twice.
Oh, dude, I was funny as shit ever too. We ran out. I was like borrowing a buddy's van, and the van just like dies on the middle of the fucking freeway. We're driving home from the studio. My wife's in the car. She's like, "What's happening? What's happening?" I got this massive van with all these bikes in the back, power steering fucking shut off, and I'm like, "Ugh," just got off an exit.
Yeah.
Coasted. So I rode a bike.
At least you had a bike.
Yeah, I had a bike. So I bought a gas can, come back, did the
Yeah.
thing. So, but
I ran out
only
one
time
time
I've ever done it.
driving to Indianapolis, like 2007, after when I was racing up there, and I coasted off the exit, turned, like never stopped, and then got on this hill going into this gas station. I didn't make it, so I put it in park. Had to go buy a gas can, just to get it over there, but there was nobody around, so I couldn't get anybody to help me push, and it was a massive hill. So
just the walk of shame.
yeah.
Oh, dude, I didn't even know. Too, I was on the phone to a friend he was in Europe, and I hadn't spoke to him. It's just I don't get to speak to him that often, especially he was racing and shit. So I'm just on the phone, just chin wag the whole time home from
Not
the
looking
shit.
at any
Not
gas
looking at
gauge.
the fuel gauge,
Yeah.
not a care in the world. And it was funny. It's like my wife is just like trying not to be the backseat driver. So she's like looking at the gauge, looking at the fuel. She just didn't say anything the whole time.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why didn't you say anything?
I'm always one that like when it says it's out, like surely it can go a little bit more because they're going to give you a buffer.
You've Googled it for sure.
Yeah.
I've Googled how far can I drive an F-150 on empty. Like,
Yeah.
I just, they say 50 miles.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, these days
But then you got to keep up with it.
I just go to the brim these days. Just
Yeah.
let's avoid that. But that anxiety when you like miss it and you've got when you're on like a road trip or something
Yeah.
and you're like looking at the fuel gauge. So it's probably good there's no fuel gauge in the car.
Yeah. I'm glad I did not know how close we were. I mean, like I said, I was saving as hard as I could. And I feel like I do a really good job of saving gas. Like we're always on the better end of like fuel saving, but I would have been a lot more nervous, just out there racing. I wasn't thinking about running out of gas. They acted like we were good to go, but we clearly weren't.
God damn, that's sick.
Yeah,
though.
it was wild. So, that happens a lot in our sport. It's always about trying to be on pit road as the least amount of times, right? And the least amount of like overall time. Like, so if you can take 2 seconds of gas to get to the end of the race, you're going to take 2 seconds of gas, not 3.
Yeah.
Because now you can leave in front of everybody. So that's the game that we all play now, is constantly just how do I spend less time on pit road and still make it to the end of the race?
Yeah. Was that the highlight of your career?
Yeah.
Because you won
Cup,
championships
in Cup.
in Xfinity.
Yeah, in like the 250 class.
Yeah.
We won back-to-back championships in 11 and 12. And then,
Has anyone won back-to-back in that class before?
Yeah.
Seems like it'd be very hard to do.
Dell Jr., Martin.
Oh, he's pretty good.
Martin Truex Jr.
A lot of juniors going back-to-back.
Yeah, there's a lot of juniors.
There's just a lot of juniors in NASCAR. I
Yeah,
love
there
it.
is. There is. And then I think there's like 1 or 2 more.
Yeah.
So yeah, not a ton.
Yeah.
But like back then it was fun. Like I got to race a lot of Cup guys because obviously, unlike the 250 class here, like Kyle Busch, Carl Edwards, Brad Keselowski, Joey Logano, all those guys were coming down and racing it was the Nationwide Series back then, but the Xfinity Series, they come down and they race. They raced a lot, so I would have to race against them, a Cup guy, just about every single race. And now it's not like that. Like if I wanted to run the Xfinity Series, I could only run 5 races in a season.
Yeah.
But it couldn't be any in the playoffs. So it kind of narrows it down a little bit. But, I learned a lot from those guys racing with them and battling with them, and we had a lot of fun. But, yeah, those championships and then, the Daytona 500, it was by far the biggest win.
Yeah. So to go back to to kind of the start when you come out as sprint cars and then you get that opportunity to race stock cars, how big of a learning bridge is that to cross to go from dirt your whole life to then race in asphalt?
It was really big. Luckily and fortunate for me, now a lot of the kids have to run asphalt late models. There's a lot of simulators. Chevy has a simulator that the Chevy guys can go to. Back then, we didn't really have simulators, but we got to do a lot of testing. So I did a lot of testing. In 2008, in the ARCA series that I ran in, it was like full size, basically the Xfinity series cars, but just a different series. So it'd be like taking the 250 class bikes and go run an arena cross, right? Like that was kind of the ARCA series in stock car racing. So I got to do that. But we also got to test a lot. And I felt like that's where my learning curve, kind of ramped up because we were testing. Let's see, we raced 19 races that year, but I bet we tested 20 times.
That's
so
sick.
Like now, like these kids don't get to test, and it's very difficult, showing up and just going to race.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
For development, I think it's a bad thing.
For the drivers
cost
themselves.
savings, saves a lot of money in cost.
Yeah. But is there a bigger barrier to entry for new kids to get into racing, do you think, because of that?
Technically, in the ARCA series, you can still go test.
Yeah.
Now, when I went to the Xfinity series or Nationwide series back then, we still tested. It just wasn't near as much. But like I used to hear stories of guys that would be testing 50, 60 times a year, plus racing 38 weekends a year.
Damn.
They used to do it.
Bro.
I think one of the crew chiefs was telling me one year they were gone for 220 days or something, between testing and racing. So I don't think it really hurts. And because they're all, the playing field is
The same. Because when you have unlimited testing, then it's not the same.
It's not the same.
Who's got the biggest wallet?
Yeah, because you could just pay to go test whenever you wanted.
Yeah.
Hey, Monster or NOS is going to pay the team, and here's an extra $1 million to go testing. Or hey, my dad has this company and he's going to sponsor me, and I'm going to go test. So now I feel like it's the same for everybody. But now there's more rides open in the Xfinity series and in the truck series because
you don't
the
have
Cup
the
guys
going down.
aren't running, full time down there. Like when I was coming up, there was some that were running full time in both. And so they were taking rides and taking seats. Now those seats are, all 36 guys are Xfinity guys, so maybe they get to race. Maybe there's more open seats for them to race, theoretically. And, then Toyota, Chevrolet, Ford, or, a Cup team owner's like, dang, I want that kid. Or, most of the time they're already signed up, kind of like Supercross does.
Yeah.
Sign them up early and
Put them on a development deal.
Yeah.
Yep. So how does, for the people that are like Supercross fans listening to this, how does it work in terms of like the charters and the way that NASCAR pays the teams and the drivers and the rev share? Because Supercross is very different.
Yeah.
And I don't even know what is the right model, or like what's
I don't
the
know
best
what the
way
right
to do
model
it, you know?
is. I do know that ours is pretty confusing. Yeah, I mean it's kind of layered. Like I was saying, like they, for our charter, for the 47 charter, we get guaranteed money, to show up to the race. So if you show up with your car to the race without a charter, I show up with a charter. Just pick a number. Just say it. Daytona 500 is around $250,000 to start. You might only get $60,000, or to show up, and race the race.
So could anyone show up and race, even if you don't have a charter?
Yes.
Okay.
There's 4 spots, basically. There's 36 charters. There's 4 spots, theoretically, every weekend. If there's 37 cars racing at COTA.
Yeah.
So there's 1 extra. But there could be 3 more positions. If there's more than 40, then the fastest of those 4 have, just say if there's 8 extra, the top 4 fastest will make the race
and
qualify.
Yeah, so you show up, you get a chance to qualify. If you don't make that, then you don't get to race.
Yeah, if there's more than 40.
Yeah,
if there's more than 40.
Yeah.
So that's the way the chart. That's what the charter is.
How do you get a charter?
They were pretty much grandfathered in on who had the charters.
Yeah.
There was 36 of them. We had 36. I don't know if you call it original teams, basically.
Yeah.
And
I believe the kids say OGs.
OGs. And now it's kind of buy, sell, trade your charter.
What's a charter worth?
I've heard that people have gotten offered $50 million for them now.
God damn.
Yeah.
That's sick.
So the first few that sold were, I want to say, around 10, and then a couple sold for 20, and then last year 1 sold for 40. And so now I'm hearing around 50. But there's only 36 of them. So, I'm sure people's trying to buy our single car team charter. There's another team that has a couple. You can't have 4-car teams anymore unless you're already a 4-car team.
So you're a 1-car team.
We are.
So does that mean your charter would be worth $25 million or $50 million if they sold it?
No,
could you
50.
run 2 cars?
No, we only run 1.
Yeah, but could you run 2 cars?
Not off the 1 charter.
Huh.
We could run 2 cars. 1 would be unchartered and 1 would be chartered.
Okay. Right. So again, I'm not a huge NASCAR deep guy.
No.
But so I'm pretty sure that when Shane came over, he was driving one of the uncharted cars, or like there was something like yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's ringing a bell. Yeah.
So there's 36, and then if you ran an open one without a charter, and you ran it full season, and just say you finished 10th in points, you would make a lot less money because you're not chartered, so you're not getting some guaranteed money and TV revenue sharing money and things like that. So therefore your driver is making way less as well. And so our stuff is kind of just directly done with the teams. And that is how it's kind of always been. Now this year we have a driver ambassador program, which is actually us drivers we're like battling, almost like the PGA players deal that they have. Like us drivers are basically battling each other to promote the sport. And the more you promote it, the more points you get. And at the end of the season, there's going to be a pot of cash that's going to be kind of delivered throughout the whole field.
Yeah.
So that's new to this year, but I think
what's up for grabs money wise in that?
To win $1 million.
That's sick.
Yeah. I think if you finish 10th or so, it'll be 500, something like that.
Really?
Total for the season. Yeah.
That's really good.
It's real money. Yeah. But NASCAR is seeing a massive, they're seeing a massive amount of us more willing to help promote the sport. Like, we have to promote the sport for a certain amount.
You're incentivized.
We're incentivized, and they're seeing a lot of good traction coming out of it. Obviously the engagements from the drivers are up, but the fan interest and fan engagement is up as well with that. So, I mean, I think they're so far seeing a trend of, it's still very early on. Us drivers got to continue to, put the time in to fly out here, do a podcast, or, and go to different markets. Our race fans are our race fans, kind of like Supercross fans. But if you could get, a different eye and get somebody else interested in your sport to, jump over and watch on Sundays, well, that's only going to benefit you and NASCAR and the whole sport. So I think that's working really well.
And I mean, you should be incentivized properly to do that. I think it from my side, it's awesome that
it's great.
There's an incentive there for you to go out and promote yourself. You're promoting your sponsors. Like, a rising tide floats all boats.
Yeah.
And it's like to just expect that you guys...
I think from the driver standpoint for a while, like, I don't really know how it is in Supercross, but like, our driver salaries have gone down over the years. Back in the 90s, I feel like, and I could be completely wrong, but I think in early 2000s, the driver's salaries were really identical to NFL quarterback salaries. And now they're not even close. And ours have actually gone down from where it was at the height of, early 2000s.
What do you reckon the highest paid ever? Like, what would the number have been on that, you reckon?
Salary wise, I'm not sure. 15, 20
million for the year.
Yeah. I mean, I've heard of some of those guys back in the day, with merchandise and all their other bonuses and PSAs and things like that. I mean, it's 30, 40, I think. It's back in the day.
Good money.
Real money. Yeah. I mean, I make a great living. Don't get me wrong. I love what I do and make way more than I ever thought I would make. That's for sure, coming from Mississippi.
Yeah.
But just if you were to look at the trends, right, of like how many people watch our sport and like how big our sport is, really in the grand scheme of things. And then you kind of look at,
So if you make sideways moves from there.
Yeah, you're like, well, wait a minute. Like, man, their salaries are, skyrocketing. And it's just, again, it's part of, just making sure that this driver ambassador program, making sure it is doing what it needs to do. And that is, help raise, NASCAR and raise our teams and our partners. And, what is good for NASCAR and me and the teams is to have a sport that is continuing to rise. And then, all your sponsors and partners of your sport are going to continue to spend more money and be more involved. So I think the program's doing a lot of what they're looking for it to do.
Yeah. And so you got the charters. NASCAR then splits revenue for TV, attendance, merchandise. So there is like a split. And I'm guessing that the older teams and the more established teams probably get a little bit more of the revenue, or is it only based on like the results?
It's based on the results.
So only performance.
Yeah.
That's
so
good.
like, just say for Hendrick's example, the 5 cars won a championship, the 9 cars won a championship in the last Well, the 5 and the 9 won a championship in the last handful of years, and so like that factors in, and they take that average, and so like theirs will make more money than the 48 car that they have. You know, they got 4 charters. Those 2 will make more money because their average is better over the last 3 years.
Yeah.
And so that's how the money's kind of, you know, distributed. But yeah, it's all based off of the TV number, and then, you know, kind of ran down through from there. The tracks, NASCAR, the teams, the drivers do their contracts with the teams, and then now we have this little side pot that we get to, you know, do our deal with NASCAR. And then, yeah, revenue sharing on merchandise and things like that is all kind of split up.
Yeah.
But that's really about it. I mean, it's
And is the sentiment that everyone's like pretty happy and content with it? I mean, no one's ever going to be 100% happy.
no one's ever like 100% happy. It
Don't know if that's even a
it's
thing.
very difficult, and I don't know how it is in Supercross. It is, well, I guess it's different in Supercross, but you know, because, you know, you put a rider on one bike and he can really out excel another one. You know, I feel like a lot of us in our sport are really, really good, and you put us in like the fastest car, we're gonna be able to run pretty close to the same speed as, like, all of us will be able to run close to the same speed in that, you know, give or take.
Yeah.
You know, so what we have, I think, a problem in our sport is, like, you will have a 250 kid come up and say, I'll do it for $400,000, or I'll do it for $300,000
To get in the good car.
to get in the door, right? And then now it's like, all right, you know, like, I mean, if you're paying your top guy $6 or $7 million, and then all of a sudden somebody's willing to do it for $1 million, well,
and run within.
you know, I'm not gonna say they're gonna run the same, but, you know, it depends on what you're looking for, I guess, for that car and sponsorship wise or whatever. You know, that's saving $5 million right off the top.
Yeah.
And that's happened a lot in our sport over the years.
Recently, or
Not, and I wouldn't say like the top cars, right? Like, but kind of like the middle section of our sport and down is where that's happened in the last 8 years.
Is there any fix for that, do you think? Like, that's kind of natural.
I don't know.
everywhere.
I mean, no, there's probably not.
Like, everyone knows about that. Some kids with a camera is always down to come in and shoot on the floor at Supercross for $200.
Exactly.
You know.
Yeah, I mean, it's not just a sport thing, right? It's life in general.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. I don't think there's necessarily a fix.
Yeah.
I mean, you could make a minimum salary or, you know, whatever, but I mean, still people could be willing to do it for less, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know.
But by and large, it just seems like you guys have kind of got a pretty good deal. Like, because I think Supercross is in a very different place, right? Like the teams kind of pay their way to go there, and the teams then pay the riders, and it's up to teams to get their own sponsorship, and then Feld keep the revenue for the races, and the AMA gets the entry fee. Like, it's a whole...
And then you got the manufacturer. Like, the manufacturer is the team, and you get your bonuses. Or if you have a team and then, you know, your manufacturer pays you bonuses here and there, like, very confusing.
Yes. And
very confusing.
Yeah, one group makes all this money, and then the team has to find their own money, and then it's also crazy because it's like, it's backed by Honda. Like, let's say factory Honda. Like, how many 450s are they selling in a year? Barely any compared to
2,000?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, maybe 5,000.
Yeah.
You know, so that ain't making up Jet's salary. It ain't making up
No.
Hunter's salary. So our sport is like kind of in a weird zone.
That is odd.
Where it's like the participation, the whole thing is built on like, oh yeah, it's the manufacturers that sell the bikes. But it's like, okay, well, let's just call a spade and say that they don't sell enough bikes to justify the investment.
Yeah.
So that's why we've seen so much in and out and back and forward and up and down. Like, there really hasn't been a lot of like stability or continued growth. Like, it just really fluctuates over the years, because like, you're asking these manufacturers to pay way more money than there's no ROI on what they're getting. Like they're getting
the bonus program that I hear that they get from winning heats and or at least the rider, right, from winning heats and winning mains. I'm like, that's a lot of motorcycles you got to sell,
dude. $150,000 that Yamaha would have had to pay Coop. What's that? 10 450s that they got to buy off that. Then if he wins a heat race and win the championship, that's 1.5 mil.
Bad math.
Like,
math doesn't add up.
Yeah, the math ain't mathin'.
Yeah.
And I think that, that's kind of one of the, there's people that talk about like revenue sharing and TV deals. And
well, seeing like our sport, the manufacturer is a big key piece as well for running fast. So you got Chevrolet. We're a Chevrolet team, but we're not a Chevrolet manufacturer team. So
you're like the satellite team.
So we're like a satellite team. We gotta get our information from a manufacturer team, and and it's
who
not,
doesn't want you to beat them.
To have everything right. And granted, like they got 4 cars, they spend a lot of money, and that's just part of the game, right? And no different on the Ford or Toyota side. There's the key partner teams, and then there's the satellite teams underneath. And so like when we win, we get a bonus from Chevrolet, but it's very small, I think, compared to what like a manufacturer team would get. And so that's the manufacturers play a massive role in our cars developments. The manufacturer on our side actually is the only ones that go to the wind tunnel. Mm-hmm. So like we as a, like back in the day, the teams used to go to the wind tunnel. Now you get your information from the manufacturer.
Directly, not the other team?
No, we get ours from, I believe, the other team. So like we still get all of our information from, we got a deal with Hendrick. Like we get our pit crew from them. We buy our engines from them. And then we get our information through them, Chevrolet through them. And then I think we get some stuff directly from Chevrolet as well, but it's just kind of filtered a little bit. Like it's not the full, here it all is, right? It wouldn't be fair to, those bigger teams that, do different things for them. So, it's a way to, keep the, I don't know if you want to call it privateer teams, afloat, but, we get enough information that we're continuing to learn. And for us, luckily the cars aren't changing a lot. So theoretically we should be getting better based off the knowledge that we have and what we've learned over the last few years.
Especially racing so much.
Yeah. And, our tracks are they're the same, we're going to one new track this year, but like our tracks are the same, year after year for the most part. So, they'll change the tire here and there, but the manufacturers play a massive role in, kind of who goes fast on our side. But it seems like the money they spend in our side, it's easier to make up when you're selling cars versus motorcycles.
Yeah. And everyone needs a car.
Yeah.
Like America is literally built on you needing to have
and
a
it's
car.
really cool. Like our, and I guess it's the same way in dirt bikes a little bit, but like when they're building street passenger cars, like there's things that they can learn technically from that and still apply it to race cars. Like they've done that for years. Like Henry Ford did that a long time ago. And so, I don't know, like that'd be a lot of dirt bikes to sell to pay a lot of those bonus programs.
Yeah, so it's going to be interesting because, Supercross is on a crazy wave. Like, I personally feel from being in it the way that I'm in it that it's definitely getting bigger.
It's in a good spot, and it's the trajectory is correct right now. Like, it's the way you want it to go, I feel like. Yeah. So I just wonder what is going to happen. And I can tell you, if everybody was still healthy, it would be massive right now.
Dude.
It would be massive right now. Because there's just the depth is so good. To your point, if you did away with the 250s and just put everybody on 450s, the depth would still be good. Mm. Like, even if you lost some riders, like the depth.
Imagine if you just had 20 Savages.
Yeah, and then like I really feel like, your starts are harder, and then all of a sudden, like that average to win a championship might end up being like a 6, versus a 3, because there's like our sport, the depth of the drivers and the teams are closer. And so, like, a 10th place average could get you a championship. Like, the reason it's a 3 or a 2 because there's
5 guys
6
that can
guys,
win.
5 guys that can win a championship, right? Like,
Yep.
if all of a
5
sudden
guys
you
that
bring
can win
in
a race.
yeah, all of a sudden if you can bring in another crop of guys that, like, they hit a start right or they're feeling good that week, and all of a sudden they're going to win a 450 race. I mean,
And if you have enough of those to make a difference,
and if you get a
in
bad start, you
championship.
can't just fly through the field.
Well, and I think the start thing as well is like you can get rid of the greats, make them dirt starts again.
Because you're not wearing out.
Well, it's
all
too
night.
It's too consistent.
Yeah.
So like
I got you.
everyone that's on the gate, like you can rip a whole shot from an outside gate.
Whether you win a heat race or not, you're
Exactly.
like,
Or
oh,
you
I still have a
qualify.
chance to get a.
Yeah. Or you
Yeah.
qualify P1, you get the map right, hold the thing wide open.
Yeah.
So there's taking a little bit of skill out of that starting process.
Used to, you'd win a moto, and then you got to
You get the first gate
you're like-
pick.
You're
Yep.
like, all right,
Yep.
that's the one I want.
Yeah. And it actually makes a difference,
I didn't think about that.
Yeah, so I think there's they don't really change a lot. But I guess I kind of can't say that with SMX and now the Triple Crown. So like they kind of have changed.
They're evolving.
Yeah. But I mean,
sure.
how much change can you see in a season in NASCAR? Like, are they reluctant to change things or are they pretty?
No, they're pretty open.
Yeah.
We have every 3 weeks, us drivers meet with NASCAR, go over hot topics that we've had.
And so what's that meeting look like?
So you'll have your competition director, you'll have your head safety guy, you'll have your vehicle design engineers in there. They're always looking to make our cars safer, better racing. They're always looking to make the tracks, if they could change, things on the track, for better, they will. Goodyear's in that meeting. We'll talk about the tire, and it'll be just a bunch of bulletins, and we'll just all talk through. And a lot of it's them giving us updates on, here's where we are with this, here's where we are with this, and then every meeting we might add something to that. We have a group text with them, like we see something on the weekend with the racetrack, mainly at like a road course or something, like, hey,
There's a
we
manhole
don't
cover
like this
here or-
curb
yeah,
right
yeah,
here.
yeah.
Like it's like at the bus stop in Watkins Glen, we started wearing mouthpieces that collect the G-forces to our head. Just going through the bus stop section at Watkins Glen, we were hitting about 18 Gs every lap without crashing. We were just hitting the curbs. And
Dude.
so, like, based off that mouthpiece data and us telling them, like, man, we kind of got headaches afterwards, they changed that, So, yeah, I would say they're always up to, make things safer, make racing better, is I would say the 2 priorities. And, they'll listen to us. They at least hear us, whether they change it or not. I feel like they're doing a really good job of really acting quicker. I would say back in the day, they would be pretty reluctant to change. Like, hey, here's the way it is. You could give advice, but it didn't really change a whole lot. Now it's like they listen, and we all talk about it, and so I think we're in a really good spot to continue to help grow the sport. We've made a lot of changes with this new car. They might not be big changes, but we've made quite a few small changes trying to get our racing better. Just because we feel like on a lot of our racetracks, some of our racetracks got better with this car, some of them got worse.
Yeah, yeah.
Just aerodynamics mainly, just trying to get the cars harder to drive, so there's a little bit more mistakes so that you can make more passes, basically.
Yeah, yeah.
But no, our meetings are good, and I think that's helped kind of continue to grow that sport. I don't know if Supercross has anything like that in there, but
I'm not
kind of seems like Feld does what they need to do, and the teams show up and race.
Yeah. So it's like a Zoom call or like that
no, we meet
meeting?
at the track.
So it's like a physical meeting.
Yeah.
Right.
And they got their PowerPoints up, and it's like we flipped a car at Daytona 2 years ago or a year ago. It got sliding and it hit the grass on the back stretch, and the grass kind of flipped it up in the air. So that's why it's all paved back there now, was because the drivers are like, hey, like, we don't need, like, we shouldn't be flipping these cars, blah, blah, blah. Well, so they did that, and we went back there, and some cars spun right there, and they didn't flip. So it's like, all right, sweet. Well, this year, there was a wreck at the end of the back stretch, and one of our cars hit another one, and it got up in the air, and it just took off and flipped. So had nothing to do with the grass. So, yeah, but they're always, you know, I mean, as soon as that happened at Daytona 2 years ago, I mean, they went to the wind tunnel ASAP, trying to figure out, like, hey, when this car's sideways like this, and if it does bounce up in the air, how do we keep it on the ground?
Yeah.
And you know, they spend a lot of money in testing when it comes to stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's all just, it's cool to know the way that it's approached.
Yeah.
You know, with you guys.
There's a lot of communication, whether station, there was one, yeah, like now it's like they can do so much sharing of information. Like, you know what I mean? Like somebody doesn't have to
be there
to get it.
Yeah.
You know, they video everything we're doing in the media center pretty much. But we do, so on any given weekend, before qualifying or after qualifying, the top 25 in points have to go to a media bullpen. So basically 30 minutes before qualifying or 30 minutes after, you go into the media center and you're there for 10, 15 minutes, and whoever wants to come up can.
You just kind of stand there waiting for someone to pick
it'd
you
be
up.
like in the post-race press conferences for Supercross.
Yeah.
But you do it in between practice and the night show or something, qualifying and the night show.
Yeah.
You go and stand there, you know, hey, Kenny, how you feeling today? How was the track? You know, and like there's storylines that they can go ahead and start writing about.
Yeah. And what about, I guess, is it combative in terms of the media? Like, to talk about supercars, like, fuck, bro, it's so toxic. Like the media in
I would say
Australia
ours used to be like that.
Okay, so it changed and got better.
I would say ours used to be, you know, you would have media people bash drivers, the sport, what they thought was wrong. And I feel like you still have media that for sure says what they think. But I think a lot of people realize, you know, I know it was kind of the time period and everything was kind of going downhill, like the whole country, right? Like 08, 09, 2010, 11, like, but I feel like a lot of the media people realize, like, man, if I keep bashing it, I'm not going to have a sport to write about.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, so I think no different than the drivers with NASCAR, you know, combining together to make sure we're moving things in the right direction together. I think the media is kind of, you know, jumped on that as well. Like, you know, we need to promote the good things about this sport. Still, you still got to call it as is and as it's happening and, you know, what's wrong and why this car flipped, what NASCAR said about that. Ask those questions. But I don't feel like anybody really bashes our stuff anymore, you know. I mean, fans get upset and things like that, but the media landscape, I feel like, does a really good job of not trashing our sport and realizing that, you know, they need a sport to be a part of, right? So I think NASCAR just in a whole is in a good spot.
That's cool, eh? Yeah, it's honestly just really cool to hear it, and I mean,
because there was media people you just wouldn't want to talk to.
Oh, for
you
sure.
know, as drivers, right?
Yeah,
like you would be like, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
And I won't,
Yeah.
right? And so I think that now, I mean, everybody's so much more accessible now with
you
Zoom
got your own
calls
platform
and
too,
things
and
you got your own platform that you can just go on and just
say it how it is from your
exactly,
perspective.
like easy.
Yeah.
And so I think that's changed a lot too.
Yeah. What other sports do you follow that you look to for, I guess, like inspiration in a way?
So I like, for me, So I own a dirt race team as well. It's a NOS energy drink sponsored sprint car.
Sprint car team.
Yeah, so they run full time, and I always look at like my driver Sheldon. He raced dirt bikes till he was. I mean, he sent me some sheets of being down in Florida with Cooper Webb's in his races and like.
No shit.
Yeah, he was good,
Yeah,
but
right.
like not to probably Cooper's level, but. His dad raced sprint cars, and then he started racing sprint cars later on in life, probably 16, 17, 18 or something, but he ran dirt bikes all the way up until then. So like him and I both look at Supercross as like, and I'm trying to get our stuff in NASCAR this way. Like I look at the, all the Supercross guys and mainly the KTM guys of like just how put together all their stuff is. The trailers, the hospitality trailers, their uniforms, like everything is perfect. And so like that's what I look at for my sprint car team and like stuff like I try and bring into NASCAR.
Really? So you think Supercross does that the best, in your opinion?
Yeah, I would love for us as a whole, like we have our garages and fans have access to our garages through certain passes, right? Like not everybody that has a grandstand ticket can come in. But I do think that it's super cool. Like, our sprint car, they pit right behind their trailer and all the fans can come in and hang out and check it all out. I wish we had that for our cup cars. I wish we just did away with the garages, mowed them down, and we had tents off the side of our trailers or whatever. I think that would be cool just because I think, for one, I think it shows off your partners and people involved in your race team better. And it could be cooler for the fans. I don't know. I think the experience from the fan side at Supercross events is really good. So I think that's really cool that, something that I really just pay attention to. Now, me in general, I pay attention to every single sport.
Yeah, right.
I mean, I've grew up playing football, basketball, baseball. I still like going to do all those things. So, I pay attention to all sports, but I would say I look at Supercross as, more on the kind of trendy apparel type side, right? And then, Shane with Converge, I met him in 2018, 17, 18, going to the Supercross races. He tried to get me to hire him back then for social media. I wished I would have a long time ago, and I feel like I'd be in a lot better spot on, that platform side. I think a lot of people are starting to get there. The sucky part about us is we don't have that weekly content of training on the bike, on a suit, like posting. You can only post a car going around the track so many times, right? So we got to come up with different content to do. And so, we're working on that. I look at Supercross stuff, because I think they do a good job at it, but just trying to make our own unique position in that. But I would say Supercross I look at a lot.
Supercross is really cool.
It is.
It's pretty wild, eh? Like, even I never knew. It's what I've been into my whole life. And it was like my default setting was set to Supercross. You know? But once I started doing this, I really realized how many people watch this shit every single weekend and just think it's the coolest.
I think I would say more than half of our garage watches it. It's what they're able to do on a dirt bike is really cool. And then again, like how they set it up and, I don't know, it's all super cool.
That's why I just push so hard.
Yeah.
Like I always try. People probably get sick of me like talking about change this, do that. But it's like, dude, we could be like, we're already crazy cool. Like imagine if we did it right. I think it just needs
to figure out, and our sport is a little bit like this year. Like, and this is why it's so important for us as drivers and as an industry right now is to, we used to be on Fox and NBC and that's it. At least in recent years. Now we've got Fox, NBC, TNT, Amazon. And so it's going to be very important for us as drivers and NASCAR and teams to make sure people know where they can watch. and how to watch, right? And so that's what, is tough about Supercross is like, man, I used to be able to just turn on FS1 and watch it, or Speed Channel back in the day.
Yeah.
So I think that is, I know where to watch it, but like the fan that's not a Supercross fan, like getting that information out to them is, I would say, pretty important.
I wonder what the mechanics of those deals are. Like I think a lot of the money for the whole SMX thing came from Peacock, which is
NBC.
NBC,
And but you have to stream it.
Yeah, but I think it was on NBC we wouldn't know if we were there, but it was on NBC this last weekend, or maybe Phoenix was on.
Like there's a couple races that are on NBC.
Yeah,
and I wonder what the numbers are. Are they? Is it better
but the
than
streaming numbers? Apparently, are good. Like
but like I wonder, like when it is on NBC, is it better than the streaming numbers?
It'd have to be.
You would think it would have to be. Yeah.
Peacock does like I think Anaheim 1 was around like 300,000 on Peacock, but that's not counting like SMX Video Pass, which is global.
Yeah.
Oh.
I haven't seen those.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like basically 300,000 for A1, but it's like, dude, we have millions of viewers every month.
Every month.
Like it should be, if we're getting millions of viewers every single month, like
the TV number should be that, right?
Yeah, it should be fucking way bigger.
Yeah.
You would hope.
Yeah, so like that's, again, I don't know.
You just don't know the mechanics of what it is.
So like for us as drivers, and that is one of the asks this year is like making sure people know where to go watch our races. Yeah. Whether it's going to be on, practice might be on Peacock, or the CW is doing all the Xfinity races and a lot of our practice and qualifying on their CW Plus app, and things like that. So that is a part of that driver ambassador program, is to help promote and let people know where to tune in. So I don't know. Supercross is definitely in a great spot right now, though.
Yeah. What golf score is shooting these days? Where are you around? Where you at? I'm gauging that you're a pretty athletic fellow. Lefty, I see too.
Lefty.
Yeah.
Yeah. My average score last year, best round was 72.
Oh.
Average was probably
Daddy.
79, 80.
Really?
Yeah.
That is good. So you're grinding.
I play last year I played 38 rounds.
Okay.
I mean, I got friends that play in the hundreds.
Yeah, that's not that much.
Yeah.
It's not even once a week.
Mm-mm.
All right. Do you like range, dude? You got any like of the sim at home or anything like that?
I know. I want to get one. I don't have one yet. But no, like I played in school.
Okay.
I played my freshman year in high school.
Yeah.
I've played. My dad played, and so I would go, and when I was younger, and I go to the range, basically hit a couple balls, and whatever shot shape I have that day, that's just what I play. Like I don't try and fix anything, I guess. I show up, because I don't play, day in and day out. Like I just show up, hit some balls on the range. Like I might hit 4 or 5 drivers, and I'm like, ooh, okay, it's
a little bit left,
little right, and that's kind of what I go with.
Yeah.
I love golf though. It's a challenging game.
What's some of the best courses you've played? Do you get on good tracks?
Yeah.
Or? Yeah.
One of my favorites is what is it? Is it close to what? Where's Muddy Creek at? Yeah, Bristol. By Bristol. If you ever go to Muddy Creek,
right.
There's a place called the Old Farm.
Okay.
It's right by. Every time we go to Bristol, we play there. It's like on this side of the hill is called the Old Farm. It's pretty open, but just a super nice golf course. And then on this side is a place called the Virginian. 2 really, really good golf courses.
Yeah, right.
I think the guy at the Virginian couldn't get on as a member at the Old Farm, so he just built his own golf course. He was like a coal miner or something back in the day.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. Jordan's course is cool.
Where's that at?
Jupiter.
Yep. Are you close with any, like a bunch of the PGA boys or?
Ricky Fowler and I text back and forth, obviously.
Yeah,
motorsports guy,
brings
Supercross
the
guy.
boys together.
Yeah. And then I've got some friends that do some management stuff. And so, yeah, some of their golfers that, I'll chit chat with. But really trying to think out here, I haven't played a whole lot of golf out here in California.
Yeah, do you get out here much? Because
not much.
Of the stuff
we run Sonoma, obviously up north, and then we used to run Fontana here, but that'd be about it. I come out for a Supercross race every year at the beginning of the season. And
were you at one of the Anaheims this year?
A2.
You were at A2, yeah.
Yeah, I went to A2.
You did race day live and stuff there,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. The
And then I had to call I don't know if you heard me in the 450
dude.
main. Adam got sick and had to bounce, so I jumped in there and helped call the 450 main for the stadium. That was kind of cool.
Yeah, what was that experience
fun.
like?
So I've called some NASCAR races on in the booth and stuff. Clearly never called in Houston. I did the full booth in Houston with Lee and Carmichael.
Oh, wow.
From Texas, I flew down and did the Houston race. But, at first I didn't really know that I was calling it for the stadium until I heard my voice in there. I was like, ooh.
This is a lot.
Yeah, I don't know if these people are paying attention to me or not. I don't know. But it was fun. It was really fun. Yeah, it was cool.
They're doing a good job with that. That's another thing that's really stepped up this year. Having JB and Adam do race day live.
Yeah, I like watching race day live.
Oh, it's actually so sick.
I get so mad that I don't see first practice.
Yeah. Yeah.
I at least turn the cameras on so I can
just webcam.
Webcam the whole track.
Yeah, you'll sit there with your own stopwatch.
Yeah. I'm always I'm seeing updates on Twitter and Instagram, and I'm like, go over to Peacock.
Damn, so your Saturdays are toast.
My Saturdays are full.
Every week.
This week we practice at 10, qualify at noon, and that'd be about perfect.
Race day live.
Yeah.
Just straight into it.
Yeah, just straight into it.
Dude, that's so sick.
And then when Supercross is over, it's college football.
What's your team?
Ole Miss.
Yeah. Is that what college you went to?
No, I didn't go to any college.
Oh, so you didn't go to...
No.
So what did you graduate in?
High school.
High school?
In 2006. I said 7 earlier, but 6.
I can't even remember what year I graduated high school.
It had to be 6.
Because I was trying to do the math in my head. I'm like, so did that mean he went to college or
no,
high school?
Yeah, no.
I couldn't even
2006, I graduated high school.
Must have been the same.
Yeah.
Must have been the same for me. So you just went straight from that, and
straight
your first job was driving a car.
Let's see. I graduated in 2006, so May or whenever that is. And then I stayed at home. I continued to race that season. And then, so I guess I was out of school for a half a year. And then I moved to Indianapolis in February or March of 2007. And then I drove for Tony Stewart sprint car team. That was kind of that big break. And then he talked to Roush and I ended up over there.
How did that come about with Tony Stewart? Is that just pure luck?
Just so yes and no. Tony was kind of similar to myself. He was racing NASCAR. He would go race dirt races, throughout the season. And I would always see him and talk to him and hey man, when are you ever going to let me race one of your sprint cars? Right. And again, cause that was really the mindset I had is I want to race sprint cars for a living. Cause I didn't even think about getting a NASCAR. And so I kind of bugged him about it probably often. And then the January of 2007, I actually signed with a management company that he was with. They had tried to get me to sign with them the year before, and my dad was super skeptical about agents and, all of that. So
for good reason.
Yeah. And but Tony was with them. Denny Hamlin was with them. Kyle Busch was with them. I mean,
it's a legit agency.
Yeah. And so we signed with them in January at the Chili Bowl, big dirt race we do in January in Oklahoma. Signed with them in January, and then one of Tony's drivers broke his leg on a dirt bike in February. And there was a big race in February that we took our cars out to Arizona, Manzanita Speedway back in the day. It was called the Copper on Dirt. It was a kind of a kick the season off, really, race. And so we went and won 2 of the 3 races that were there, and Tony had his team there. Well, then one of his guys broke his leg later in February, and then they called me through my agency that he was with and said, hey, we're going to put you in Tony's sprint car. I was like, sweet.
That's so cool.
Yeah, and I'd actually met with Roush Fenway earlier in February and was like, hey, what do I need to do to get over here to race, NASCAR or stock cars? And they're like, well, just keep winning. And, at the end of the year, Tony had talked to Jack Roush and got it all lined out and got me hired.
So are you still with that management company?
No, that management company has since kind of split and gone different directions. So, actually, the guy that was like my guy there, he actually owns, him and a group actually own one of the Cup teams now.
Oh, right.
Yeah, Spire. So, it kind of splintered there for a little bit, and then like every agent that was in there kind of has their own agency now.
Yeah, right.
But he has a Cup team.
So how did those what was the then to go from that to actually get into NASCAR? So once you signed with Roush?
So I signed with Roush in October of 2007. So I ran a full year for Tony. We tested 2 or 3 times in 2007. And I remember I signed with them and they gave me $25,000 in a company truck. I'm like, man, it's like my first ever new vehicle. It was a F-250 King Ranch. I was like, dang, this thing's sweet. and that was to go testing. They had to pay me to go test. And we did like 2 or 3 tests. And then my first race was the ARCA race at Daytona. Like I had never raced a stock car in my life. And that was the first race. Yeah, it was wild. And then, so I ran the ARCA series in 2008. And then in 2009, I only ran a partial schedule of the nationwide Xfinity series. And the reason I did that is because back then they had rules that if you ran more than 7 races, it took your rookie eligibility away. And there was, back then they had some cool things. Like if you were a rookie, you got an extra set of tires for practice. And so like you could just, make more practice laps on that given weekend because you had an extra set of tires. So things like that. So I only ran 7 races in 2009. I ran a lot of sprint car races in my spare time. And then, 2010 was my first rookie year in the Nationwide Series, Xfinity Series.
How long did it take you to win the championship?
2011.
Yeah, right.
2011 and 12, yeah. I didn't win my first race until 11.
Okay.
Yeah, we had the beginning of 2010 did not go well at all. Heck, I actually got set out of the car for 2 races, and they put somebody else in. Yeah, we were just struggling. And then it was weird. Like, halfway through the season, like, it did not look like I was going to win Rookie of the Year. Like, nothing looked great. And then we came back and won Rookie of the Year from, like, the furthest deficit anybody has. Like, we finished in the top 5 and top 10, basically, from halfway on.
What was the difference? Getting benched just hurt.
I don't know. Yeah,
hurt the soul just enough.
Just enough. Yeah. They actually put me. Jack Roush was cool. He reminded me a lot of my dad, just obviously in an older form. He was always pretty harsh and just straight to the point. And we had some disagreements, but I mean, like he put me in the shop. Like I'd crashed a couple cars and he wasn't happy about it, and I worked in the shop for 3 months, 6:30 to 4:30. Gave me an hour for lunch and an hour to work out, and I did that for 3 months. And at the end of that 3 months, things kind of started turning around, and then we won Rookie of the Year that year, and then we were on fire 2011 and 12.
Damn! So he just full Mr. Miyagi'd you.
He did.
That's so cool.
Yeah, he did. It was. It's a cool story now looking back. I wasn't thrilled, at the time. But, on the other hand, it was really cool because, like, Roush Fenway was a massive company at that time. There was 600 employees, I think, 400 employees. I think at our Christmas party, it was like 600 people or something. But, there's like 400 employees. I'm fairly new to the company. So, like, it really was cool because I worked in all the different departments. So, like, I got to know all of these guys, So, I think it was good on one hand. And I learned exactly what goes into stock car racing and what goes into these cars that I had no clue to begin with. Like, I knew that a lot of work went in, but, like, I didn't know exactly what that looked like.
Yeah. And what were you missing that you learned in those 3 months?
Just to, like, chill out a little bit, not try too hard. And I think it just got me a better relationship with my crew chief and my team. And, I realized that everybody was behind me. Like, nobody was, like, rooting against me, right? And they wanted me to succeed. And, it all clicked. And, and also, I went and sought after some of our guys like Matt Kenseth, Carl Edwards, Greg Biffle. I talked to Kevin Harvick a lot, who's now the agency that I'm with. I talked to him a lot about, just stock car racing, people that knew stock car racing. And that really, I feel like, helped me kind of ramp up my learning curve, but also what to look for, mainly what to look for in the race car, right?
Yeah,
like, because
how to learn kind of thing.
Yeah, and like in practice, I'm trying to go as fast as I can, but Kevin's like, well, that's not the name of the game all the time. Like, you need your car to be good at 50 laps into the run or 30 laps into the run. You don't have to be the fastest guy in the first 3 laps. And so things like that, I felt like just were things that I didn't really pay attention to until I got set out of the car a couple times. I was working in the shop and, so I felt like that put me on the right trajectory of what to do in the stock cars.
And probably like a pretty good little ego check too, in a way.
Oh yeah. Like, I wouldn't say an ego check. 'Cause I would say back then I was still super quiet, and it's not like I thought that I
but
made it
in the sense of like,
I think it was more a reality check. Like, man, if I don't figure this out, I won't be here, right? Like, I feel like that was more of it. Like, not necessarily like, hey, check your ego at the door. It was more of like, like, if I don't figure this out, I'm not gonna have much more time to figure it out. And like, this is the best opportunity, like, that I'm going to have. Like, yeah, I could probably maybe leave there and go to a different team, but it's not going to be this caliber of a team. And so I feel like that was probably more of it. Like, kind of like, you either jump off the ledge and figure out how to fly or you don't. And I felt like that was it.
And it probably helps too when you really get deep into the team and you figure out like how many pieces, like how many parts make up the whole as well, in a way.
Well, back then it was, we were building like the quarter panels. Like, we were cutting it out of the sheet metal, and I was rolling it, and I was, putting braces in it. Like, we made every single part of the car back then. Now we buy stuff, kind of bolt it on and put it together. Like, the hoods, the roofs, like, we had fabricators that were making every single part. And so I worked in the chassis shop. The wrecked cars that came in, I cut them apart and got them ready and prepped for, the guys that built the chassis to, fix them. And then I went to the body panel area where I was helping make the body panels and things like that. And then I ended up going to this place called it was called Finish Fab. So like basically the chassis done, the body's on it. Now all the little stuff like window braces and, radiator ductwork and, brake hoses and all that was done in a separate section. And then, so I went there for a month. So I learned every piece of that car.
That's crazy, dude.
But I also enjoyed working. So like it wasn't
Wasn't like a punishment.
It wasn't punishment because it was kind of like an odd spot. Like I was used to working on my cars, and then I get there and like they don't want you working on your cars. Like they want you to drive the cars. And so to a point it was cool. But also being at work at 6:30 every morning, like have to, was probably not the best.
Especially when you're a race car driver.
When I was 21 years old, 22 years old, I'm like, man, this is not exactly what I signed up for. But no, like I said, I think a lot of people I think I gained a lot of respect from the people in the shop. And, it's such a big team now. A lot of those guys are still in the sport, at different teams. Yep. And, you still see them, and it's cool. And
so how did that come to an end with that team?
My contract was through 2019.
Yeah.
I signed it in 2008.
Yeah, right.
It was a long-term contract.
No way. So
right
off the rip, it was that long.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, and Roush Fenway was known for that over the years of doing long-term contracts, and kind of, I think they had a few drivers get away that they didn't want, to get away in the past, and they just kind of fixed that, I guess.
Yeah, right.
And so we did some restructuring of my contract throughout the years. It was kind of it had just kind of ran its course with some of the upper management things that were there. Jack and I still have a great relationship, see him at the racetrack all the time. And, I think him and I just, again, have a lot of respect for each other.
Going through what you went through.
Yeah, we went through a lot of stuff together. And, there was points in the 2012 championship. He's like, I'd spun and crashed at Dover, and we were pretty far back in points. And he's like, you're going to have to figure out how you're going to lose this championship with your head held high. And I'm like, it's not over. He goes, just telling you. And he goes, but I got your back. And he was a different guy. I mean, old school guy. And we spit in our hands, and we shook that we were going to give it all we got, but it's not looking good.
No way.
Yeah. And we came back
cool.
to win. And then like afterwards, he's like, you like that motivation? Like, he was always trying to push you in different ways.
He knew the buttons.
Yeah. And so I still have a great relationship with Jack. He's getting older now, which I hate seeing, but he's still coming to the track and still loves it. So it just kind of ran its course. I was there for from 11 years, and it came to a close, and then I signed with JTG Doherty Racing at the time, which is now, we just rebranded to Hayek Motorsports. So, they've been in the sport for 25 years. When I had went there, they had been in the sport for a long time. And, but yeah, I've always been they've ran two cars at one point, but mainly just a single car team. And so, we do it with 32 employees now or something like that. Like, it's really small. And so it's impressive, when other teams ask how many people are there. It's kind of crazy.
What's the biggest team? Like, what would be the biggest head count?
Hendrick Motorsports is probably the biggest team.
Yeah.
And I would say their head counts, and this is a total guesstimation, but I would say around 500.
Yeah. But they're running, what, 4 or 5 cars?
They run 4 cars, and they build engines.
For a bunch of other teams.
Like, we lease engines from them. And one other team leases engines from them. So I would say they're the biggest. Gibbs is a 4-car team as well. And I would say they're kind of right there with them.
Yeah.
Penske's a 3-car team. They don't build their engines. Roush Yates builds their engines. So
that'd drop the head count a little bit.
Yeah, that drops the head count a little bit.
Yeah. So what's your... like the dream scenario for the rest of your career? Do you always stay in NASCAR? Do you do another discipline of racing?
No, I don't think I want to do any other like full-time discipline of racing. I think for me, I would like to race another 10 years. I'd like to win a race every year, and obviously I want to compete for a championship, and I'd like to grow this team to that. It'd be cool to say that you built a single car team into a championship, performing team by the time you're done. Our team wants to grow. They don't want to stay a single car team. So I think that would be cool to kind of help develop that. And it'd be kind of cool to say you made a pretty long tenure out of 2 teams. There's not many people that have, you end up seeing people kind of bounce around.
Yeah. It says something about you as a person if you can do that.
Yeah, I would like to. It's easy to go chase the new thing, here and there. But I think it would be cool to kind of where I'm at now. It's, I'm 37 years old. I've been in the sport and I've been in the Cup Series for 12 years now. I think this is the 13th year. And so, it'd be cool to kind of build something. And then when you look back at it, I could see myself helping run a team maybe. Out of all my life experiences with the race teams and kind of how I went through it, I definitely see myself with the sport for a long time.
Yeah. Dude, it's awesome. This has been great, man.
Yeah.
This has been really cool. I'm so glad that we got to do this. Your name has been on our guest spreadsheets and booking lists and for a very long time.
Good.
And it just kind of lined up.
No, it's good. I mean, obviously your love of Supercross and motocross is, when you get your guys in here, the Tomacs, the Webbs, McGraths, it's always very interesting. And I like watching podcasts and, when you get somebody new from out of the realm of Supercross, it always is fun, right? So I enjoy it. For me, it's very enjoyable to come do stuff like this.
I'd love to see it at a NASCAR race this year. What one should I go to? What's cool that's coming up?
Any of them that you want. Obviously, probably after Supercross. Do you go to all the Supercross races mainly?
Not
really.
Of them,
okay.
no. What's the best city? What's the best vibe?
Ooh.
What should I go to? Bristol night race would be sick.
Bristol night race you need to go to.
When is that? Look that up.
It's in August.
August? Oh, I might be in Australia for that. I think I'm going to go for like a month in July, August. What else we got? Let's find.
Coke 600 at Charlotte is cool.
Dude, I love Charlotte. Charlotte's a good city.
It is. It's great. So, like I said, we're on 300 acres. The lake is 30 minutes from us. The mountains, if you want to go up in the mountains, is an hour and a half, 2 hours from us. And then the beach is 3 hours, 3.5 hours from us.
It's a good spot,
It's a good spot. And then you got downtown Charlotte that if you need to go downtown for city scene or whatever is good. So
May 25th
is Charlotte. Yeah.
I mean, it's doable. We stayed, obviously, the SMX playoffs.
Yeah.
They're in Charlotte. They're in Charlotte again this year, First round.
Yeah.
I
helped build a jump there last 2 years ago. No.
Shovel? Dozer?
No, the Dirtworks guys. I was in the, was I in the skid steer? Yeah. I didn't really make anything. Yeah.
Just shaping it up.
I want a skid steer bad.
Get one, dude.
I'm going to have to.
That's a win bonus, right?
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. I need that for Stetson's pit bike track.
Stetson's. We stayed downtown, like right. It was a sick spot, like a sick Airbnb, and I had zero expectations of Charlotte. Never been. Just went for the race, but my brother was there, and then one of our boys.
Is he still in Australia?
Yeah, but he's gonna be here. He's moving here.
Oh, cool.
He does like athlete management and stuff. That. He did all of Giz's social stuff.
Okay.
In Australia, worked for the Red Bull team.
Yeah.
In Australia. So, but yeah, he's gonna be here soonish. Actually.
Oh, cool.
Moved his kind of business over here. But we all got a place. We like walked to get coffee. Found an awesome coffee shop.
Yeah.
Like,
there's some good nightlife there and
super underrated.
Yeah.
Like,
good food. There's some really good little
clean.
food spot. Clean.
Very clean.
Yeah.
It was one of the cleanest downtowns I've experienced lately. So
yeah, they keep it up. My sister lives down there.
Why is it so nice there?
I don't know.
Red State?
It's been right on the edge.
Is it?
Yeah.
Because it's just clean. There's no shit. No, kind of blew me away, to be honest.
Yeah.
Wasn't expecting it.
Yeah, not a bad place.
So maybe that's the one.
Yeah, definitely you should come to Charlotte then. Because the Coke 600, they do a massive, kind of reenactment. And, they got guys coming out of helicopters for, Memorial Day weekend, and it's a scene at the racetrack, and it's our longest race of the year, 600 miles.
See.
So you watch. Used to, you would get up, and I don't know if they've changed the schedule yet, but you would get up, you'd watch Monaco, and then you'd watch Indy, and then like halfway through the Indy 500, I'd leave my house, go to the track because I got appearances to do, but then the big screen on the back stretch, they'd put the Indy 500 up there so you could watch the end of it there.
Sick.
And then our race starts. So, but like they were talking about changing Monaco or something. Yeah, like they were moving it. I'm like, hey, you're
from Monaco, the track.
Well, no, they're going to race there, but just not on that day. And it's going to ruin like the greatest day in motorsports.
Yeah,
Because you got to watch
all three of them
Monaco,
back to back.
Indy 500, Coke 600. I mean, that's pretty tough to beat.
Yeah, pretty heavy day.
Yeah, it's a heavy day. Yeah.
Dude, this was awesome.
Yeah, man, thank you.
I appreciate it. And hopefully maybe win a championship, come back on.
Win a championship, come back on. After you come to Charlotte. Maybe we'll win Charlotte while you're there.
Done. This is lining up to be a great year, guys.
Yeah.
I love it. Ricky Stenhouse Jr., ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you.
If you enjoyed this content, please like and subscribe. And to listen to the full 3-hour podcast, search Gypsy Tales in your favorite podcast platform or click the link in the description below. Gypsy Gang.